Welcome back to Sleepy English Academy. Today, we'll be learning English through audio listening. So, get comfortable and close your eyes. In a hidden valley nestled between rolling hills, whispered secrets to a gentle breeze, lay the village of Willow Creek. Here, amongst quaint cottages adorned with climbing roses and cobblestone streets slick with moonlight, lived a young woman named Ilara. Ilara wasn't your typical villager. While others chased after chickens or mended fishing nets, Ilara spent her days with her head buried in dusty tomes, her heart set on faraway lands and forgotten lore. One crisp autumn evening, as the leaves pirouetted in a fiery dance before settling on the ground, Ilara stumbled upon a peculiar inscription in an ancient book. It spoke of a hidden waterfall, shrouded in mist, where dreams danced on the wind and worries melted like morning dew. Intrigued, Ilara packed a knapsack with a crusty loaf of bread, a canteen of cool water, and her most well-worn book. With a whispered goodbye to the sleeping village, she set off under the cloak of a star-studded sky. The path wound through a whispering forest, sunlight dappling the mossy floor. Ilara followed the melodic calls of unseen birds and the gurgling whispers of a hidden stream. As dusk approached, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, Ilara reached a clearing bathed in an ethereal glow. There, cascading down a moss-covered cliff, was the waterfall from the inscription. The air vibrated with a soft hum, and mist swirled around the cascading water like playful spirits. Ilara, mesmerized, dipped her toes into the pool at the waterfall's base. The cool water seeped into her tired muscles, washing away the day's journey. A gentle breeze carrying the scent of wildflowers and damp earth whispered through the trees, lulling her into a state of serene calm. She closed her eyes, and the world around her dissolved. Images flickered behind her eyelids, fields of lavender swaying in the summer breeze, a crackling fireplace casting warm shadows on a cozy room, the rhythmic lull of ocean waves lapping at a sandy shore. Each scene whispered promises of peace and tranquility. Ilara drifted deeper, worries and anxieties dissolving like mist in the morning sun. Time seemed to lose its meaning as Ilara basked in the waterfall's calming embrace. When she finally opened her eyes, the first rays of dawn were painting the sky with soft hues of pink and gold. Feeling rejuvenated and her spirit lighter than air, Ilara retraced her steps back to Willow Creek. The village bustled with the familiar sounds of morning chores, but Ilara carried a secret smile. The hidden waterfall had gifted her not only with a night of restful sleep but also with a newfound appreciation for the simple beauty that surrounded her. As she went about her day, the echoes of the waterfall's melody lingered, a gentle reminder to find peace in the everyday. Now, close your own eyes, and let the story wash over you. Feel the cool touch of the waterfall on your skin, hear the soothing whispers of the wind, and allow the worries of the day to melt away. Just like Ilara, drift into a sleep as peaceful and serene as the hidden waterfall itself. Sweet dreams.
My dear listener, I am new to YouTube. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.
In the bustling heart of Florence, where ancient buildings whispered stories and cobbled streets echoed with life, lived Amelia, a fiery artist with eyes that mirrored the Tuscan sky. Her canvases danced with vibrant colors, capturing the essence of the city she adored. One rainy afternoon, as Amelia sought refuge in a cozy bookstore, a melody unlike any other drifted through the air. It was Enzo, a street musician with a voice as smooth as aged Chianti and a guitar that spoke in forgotten languages. Their eyes met across the worn spines of leather-bound books. Amelia, usually captivated by the world on her canvas, found herself mesmerized by the raw emotion in Enzo's music. Enzo, who usually sang for the wind and the passing pigeons, felt a spotlight ignite on him, the melody flowing effortlessly for this woman with hair like spun sunshine. Days turned into stolen moments. Amelia would sketch him playing, capturing the intensity in his eyes as his fingers danced on the strings. Enzo, in turn, would weave stories into his songs, painting pictures with his voice that mirrored the colors on Amelia's canvases. Their love story wasn't a grand symphony, but a carefully composed duet, each note complementing the other. Life, however, wasn't a melody without its discords. Amelia dreamt of showcasing her work in renowned galleries, while Enzo yearned to travel the world, sharing his music with new cultures. Tears fell like sudden rain showers, arguments as passionate as the colors on Amelia's palette. Yet, Through it all, the melody of their love remained, a constant hum beneath the surface. One starlit night, standing on the Ponte Vecchio bridge overlooking the Arno River, they reached a turning point. The city lights shimmered like scattered diamonds, a silent witness to their silent debate. With a shaky breath, Amelia confessed her fear of losing him if she chased her dreams. Enzo, tears glistening in his eyes, spoke of his own fear of a life without her by his side. In that moment, under the watchful gaze of the moon, they realized their love wasn't meant to be confined. They decided to paint their love story on a larger canvas. Amelia would capture the essence of their travels, of the faces and cultures they encountered, while Enzo's music would become a tapestry woven with the sounds of the world. Their journey wasn't always easy. They faced loneliness in foreign lands, missed birthdays and celebrations back home. But through it all, their love remained their anchor. They celebrated each other's triumphs, held each other through rejections, their love a constant melody that soothed the bumps on their path. Years later, Amelia and Enzo returned to Florence, their hearts brimming with stories and their souls intertwined. They opened a small gallery, a haven for artists and musicians, where their love story echoed in every brushstroke and every note. The melody of their love, once confined to stolen moments, now resonated within the walls, a testament to the enduring power of love that dared to dream, to travel, and to grow together. So, close your eyes and imagine their melody, a love song that speaks of passion, compromise, and the beautiful tapestry woven when two souls chase their dreams, hand in hand.
In a quaint seaside town, nestled between rolling dunes and a salty breeze, stood a little schoolhouse known as the Driftwood Academy. Ms. Lily Shelworth wasn't your average teacher. Her classroom wasn't just filled with rows of desks and dusty textbooks, but with seashells whispering secrets of the ocean and driftwood sculptures reaching for the sky. Ms. Shelworth believed that learning wasn't confined to pages, it lived in the crash of waves, the flutter of a seabird's wing, and the intricate patterns of a sandcastle. Every morning, her students, a ragtag bunch of children from the fishing village, would be greeted by a new wonder. A starfish clutched in her calloused hand, a poem scrawled on a piece of driftwood, or a tide pool teeming with life waiting to be explored. There was Finn, a quiet boy who dreamt of becoming a marine biologist, but struggled with expressing himself. Ms. Shelworth noticed his fascination with the tide pools and turned them into his classroom. Finn flourished, documenting the creatures in meticulous sketches and sharing his findings with a newfound confidence. Then there was Maya, a boisterous girl with boundless energy that often landed her in trouble. Ms. Shelworth channeled Maya's energy into projects. Maya built a miniature lighthouse, complete with a flashing lead and a heartfelt message in a bottle for lost sailors. Her lighthouse, displayed proudly on the classroom shelf, became a symbol of her newfound focus. Even grumpy old Mr. Grump, the school janitor, wasn't immune to Ms. Shelworth's magic. He found himself drawn to her classroom by the sounds of excited chatter and the glint of curiosity in the children's eyes. He started leaving little trinkets, a smooth pebble, a piece of weathered glass, for Ms. Shelworth to incorporate into her lessons. One stormy night, the power went out, plunging the school into darkness. But Ms. Shelworth, unfazed, lit a kerosene lamp and gathered her students around a makeshift campfire. They sang sea shanties, told stories of krakens and mermaids, and learned about constellations shimmering through the storm clouds. That night, the classroom wasn't just a place of learning, but a haven of warmth and camaraderie. Years later, Ms. Shelworth's students grew up, each carrying a piece of the ocean and a love of learning within them. Finn, the once quiet boy, was a renowned marine biologist. Maya, the energetic one, a fierce ocean conservationist, and even Mr. Grump, with a twinkle in his eye, volunteered at the local aquarium. Ms. Shelworth, her hair streaked with silver and her smile as warm as the sun, continued to inspire new generations, reminding them that the greatest lessons were often found not in books, but in the vast, wondrous world around them. So, drift off to sleep and dream of Ms. Shelworth's classroom, a place where the ocean breeze carried the whispers of knowledge and the salty air fueled a lifelong love of learning.
King Gareth wasn't your typical ruler. Unlike his predecessors who reveled in opulent feasts and grand displays of power, Gareth yearned for knowledge. His castle library, usually a dusty repository for forgotten chronicles, became his throne room. He spent his days deciphering ancient scrolls, his nights tracing constellations on the starlit ceiling. His advisors, a portly duke with a taste for gold and a wiry baroness known for her sharp tongue, scoffed. "A king should rule, not read," they'd bellow, their voices echoing through the cavernous halls. But Gareth remained undeterred. He believed a wise king was a strong king, and true strength came from understanding the world beyond the castle walls. One day, while poring over a weathered map, Gareth stumbled upon a legend, a hidden valley nestled within treacherous mountain peaks, said to hold the fabled Sunstone, a gem rumored to grant unimaginable power. Ambition flickered in Gareth's advisors' eyes. They envisioned conquering neighboring kingdoms with such a weapon. But Gareth saw something different. He saw the potential to alleviate the harsh winters that plagued his people, to usher in an era of prosperity. Driven by this newfound purpose, Gareth assembled a ragtag group, a stoic mountain guide with a weathered face, a brilliant but ostracized inventor, and a young scholar with a head full of forgotten lore. His advisors predictably scoffed. "They'll be buried in an avalanche before they reach the first peak," they jeered. Yet, Gareth, with a newfound fire in his eyes, led his unlikely team into the unknown. The journey was perilous. They braved treacherous snowstorms, navigated through treacherous gorges, and outsmarted cunning Yeti guarding the mountain paths. Gareth, the Scholar King, surprised them all. He used his knowledge of ancient texts to decipher cryptic warnings on cave walls, his stargazing skills guiding them through blinding snowstorms. Finally, after weeks of hardship, they reached the hidden valley. Bathed in an ethereal glow, a magnificent crystal pulsed with an inner light, the Sunstone. As Gareth reached for it, the ground trembled. A monstrous creature, guardian of the valley, emerged from the shadows. A fierce battle ensued. Gareth, though no warrior, used his knowledge of the valley's layout to his advantage, leading the creature on a chase through narrow ravines. The inventor, inspired by Gareth's quick thinking, used scraps they'd collected along the way to fashion a dazzling contraption that distracted the beast, allowing the mountain guide to deliver the final blow. Exhausted but triumphant, Gareth returned to his kingdom, not with a weapon of conquest, but with the Sunstone. He used its power to create a device that harnessed the sun's rays, warming homes and extending the growing season. His advisors, humbled, finally saw the wisdom in his ways. King Gareth, the Scholar King, became a legend himself. He ruled with a gentle hand, his reign marked by prosperity and a thirst for knowledge. His story became a beacon, a testament to the power of curiosity and the unexpected heroes that can emerge from the unlikeliest corners of a kingdom. So, close your eyes and imagine a kingdom bathed in golden sunlight, a testament to a king who dared to look beyond the crown and embrace the wisdom of the world. In the bustling heart of New Orleans, nestled amongst vibrant jazz clubs and aromatic cafes, lived Maya, a young woman with a passion for forgotten things. Unlike others who chased the latest trends, Maya found beauty in the past, her heart set on restoring the city's hidden treasures. Her workshop, tucked away on a cobblestone street, was a haven for chipped china dolls, tarnished silver tea sets, and antique furniture whispering stories of lives long gone. Maya wasn't just a restorer. She was a magician, breathing new life into forgotten objects. Her skilled hands chipped away at layers of dust and neglect, revealing the intricate details and craftsmanship beneath. One sweltering summer day, a gruff man named Mr. Dubois entered Maya's workshop, his weathered face etched with worry. He carried a battered wooden music box, its once vibrant colors dulled by time. "My grandfather brought this from France," he rasped, his voice thick with emotion. "It played a lullaby that soothed my every sorrow. Can you fix it?" Maya took the music box in her calloused hands, a pang of empathy pricking her heart. This wasn't just an object. It was a tangible memory, a thread connecting Mr. Dubois to his past. She promised to do her best. Days turned into weeks as Maya meticulously disassembled the music box. Each chipped piece, each rusted spring held a story. Slowly, with patience and expertise, she replaced the worn parts, cleaned the tarnished metal, and finally, with a gentle twist of a key, the melody came alive. It was a simple tune, yet it filled the workshop with a poignant sweetness, a testament to the power of music and memories. When Mr. Du Bois returned, his eyes welled up as the melody washed over him. He held the music box close, a tear tracing a path down his cheek. "It's like being a child again," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you, Maya. You gave me back more than just a music box. You gave me a piece of my past." News of Maya's work spread like wildfire. People started bringing in their own forgotten treasures: a chipped grandfather clock, a faded oil painting, a well-worn teddy bear. Each object held a story, and Maya, with her gentle touch and unwavering dedication, became the keeper of these stories. Her workshop became a beacon of hope, a place where the past wasn't discarded but cherished. Maya's good work wasn't about profit or fame. It was about preserving memories, connecting people to their heritage, and reminding everyone of the beauty that lies hidden in the things we often overlook. So, as you drift off to sleep, imagine Maya's workshop, filled with the soft strains of music boxes and the quiet hum of dedication. Let the story be a reminder that good work isn't always grand gestures. Sometimes, it's the quiet act of giving a forgotten object a second chance, and in doing so, enriching the lives of those around us.
In the clockwork city of Zenith, where brass gears whirred and steam hissed, lived Anya, a tinker with oil-stained fingers and a mind brimming with inventions. Unlike the clockwork birds and automatons churned out by the city's factories, Anya dreamt of creations with souls, imbuing them with a spark of something more. One rainy night, while scouring the city's underbelly for spare parts, she stumbled upon a hidden workshop. Inside, hunched over a workbench, was a hunched figure cloaked in shadows. This was Elios, a disgraced engineer, ostracized for his unorthodox methods. Together, Anya and Elios embarked on a clandestine project, a mechanical boy named Kai. Kai wasn't just gears and wires, he possessed a semblance of consciousness, learning and growing with each passing day. Anya delighted in his childlike wonder, while Elios wrestled with the ethics of their creation. News of Kai spread like wildfire, reaching the ears of the ruthless magistrate, who saw Kai as a threat to the city's rigid order. Anya, Elios, and Kai were forced to flee, becoming fugitives hunted through the labyrinthine streets of Zenith. Their journey led them to the Cogwilds, a sprawling wasteland where broken machines roamed freely. Here, they encountered a ragtag group of rebels, the Rust Hearts, who yearned to overthrow the magistrate's iron grip. Anya and Elios, initially wary, found themselves drawn to the Rust Hearts' ideals of freedom and individuality. Kai, meanwhile, blossomed in the Cogwilds, connecting with the cast-off machines and learning their forgotten language. As tensions rose between the magistrate's forces and the Rust Hearts, Anya, Elios, and Kai found themselves at the heart of the conflict. Anya, with her ingenuity, devised ingenious contraptions to outsmart the magistrate's automatons. Elios, haunted by his past, used his engineering expertise to fortify the Rust Hearts' defenses. Kai, with his unique connection to machines, became a bridge between the rebels and the Cogwild's denizens. The climax arrived in a heart-stopping showdown. The magistrate launched a full-scale attack on the Rust Hearts' stronghold. Anya, Elios, and Kai, alongside the rebels, fought with the spirit of a revolution. Kai, using his control over the Cogwild's machines, turned the tide of battle. In the end, the magistrate's forces were driven back, but not without sacrifice. The story doesn't end there. With the magistrate weakened, the future of Zenith hangs in the balance. Will Anya, Elios, and Kai help rebuild the city on a foundation of freedom and innovation? Or will new threats emerge in the ever-evolving world of machines and men? This is just the beginning of their adventure.
In the sun-baked village of Aradara, nestled amidst endless sand dunes, lived a young woman named Zura. Unlike the other children who dreamt of becoming caravan traders or oasis tenders, Zura dreamt of a life beyond the harsh desert. She longed to be a doctor, a healer who could mend not just bodies, but the despair that clung to Aradara like the relentless sand. The path to becoming a doctor was a treacherous one. The nearest town with a medical school lay hundreds of miles across the unforgiving desert, a journey only the wealthy could afford. Zura was far from wealthy. Her family, like most in Aradara, scraped by on a meager existence, their crops constantly battling the encroaching dunes. Despite the odds, Zura refused to let her dream wither. Every spare moment she could find, she'd pore over dusty medical scrolls left behind by a long-gone physician. She studied the medicinal properties of desert plants, learning to differentiate between the life-giving aloe and the deadly nightshade. Her days were filled with tending to her family's meager crops, and her nights with the flickering lamplight illuminating the pages of her scrolls. Zura's hard work didn't go unnoticed. Villagers, witnessing her dedication, started bringing her their ailments. Using her newfound knowledge and a keen eye, Zura brewed concoctions, soothed feverish brows, and set broken bones. Her success stories spread, whispers of the desert healer carried on the wind. One scorching summer, a sandstorm of unparalleled fury swept through Aradara. Crops were decimated, water supplies dwindled, and a mysterious illness began to spread. Fear gripped the village. Zura, fueled by a desperate resolve, worked tirelessly. She concocted rehydration solutions, treated the sick day and night, and rallied the villagers to conserve their remaining resources. Days turned into weeks, the sun blazing relentlessly. Zura's exhaustion was evident, her once bright eyes shadowed by fatigue. However, with each recovered villager, with every flicker of hope rekindled, her spirit remained unbroken. Finally, the storm subsided, and the illness retreated. Aradara, battered but not defeated, began the arduous task of rebuilding. Zura's reputation had soared. News of her bravery and unwavering determination reached the distant town with a medical school. A delegation arrived, awestruck by the young woman who had defied the odds. They offered her a full scholarship, a chance to finally formalize her knowledge and become the doctor she'd always dreamt of being. Zura's journey to becoming a doctor wasn't paved with privilege or ease. It was a testament to the power of unwavering hard work, a testament to the belief that even in the harshest deserts, dreams could bloom, not through magic, but through relentless dedication. Her story became a beacon of hope for Aradara, a village that learned that with hard work, even the most formidable obstacles could be overcome.
In the bustling marketplace of Chandani Chowk, Delhi, lived a 10-year-old boy named Ravi. Unlike the other children who hawked trinkets or chased after tourists, Ravi helped his grandfather, a kind old man with a silver beard, at their humble spice stall. Ravi loved the symphony of smells, the earthy aroma of turmeric, the fiery kick of chilies, the warm embrace of cardamom. But what he loved most was his grandfather's unwavering honesty. Each day, his grandfather meticulously weighed spices, ensuring every customer received exactly what they paid for. One scorching afternoon, a commotion erupted at a nearby stall. A wealthy woman, adorned in shimmering silks, accused the vendor of shortchanging her on a gold necklace. The vendor, a nervous young man, stammered in defense, but the woman's shrill voice drowned him out. A crowd gathered, their faces mirroring the city's simmering heat. Ravi, drawn by the noise, peeked through the throng. He saw the woman clutch the necklace, dangling it in the air. Suddenly, his foot caught on something hard. He bent down and saw a glint of gold beneath the woven matting of the stall. It was a small, intricate pendant, clearly a part of the necklace. Ravi's heart thumped. No one seemed to have noticed it. He could easily slip it into his pocket and disappear into the crowd. He could buy sweets he'd always craved, or even a small kite, a rare treat. But his grandfather's gentle voice echoed in his mind. Honesty is the most precious spice, Ravi. It adds value to everything in life. Pushing through the crowd, Ravi held the pendant high. "Look!" he shouted, his voice surprisingly clear. The woman's tirade faltered. "This must have fallen from your necklace." The woman snatched it, her initial anger replaced by surprise. The vendor's face lit up with relief. The crowd, initially skeptical, murmured their approval. The woman, visibly embarrassed, apologized profusely and even purchased a generous amount of spices from Ravi's grandfather. That evening, under the starlit sky, Ravi helped his grandfather pack away their wares. His grandfather, his eyes crinkled with pride, handed him a small worn pouch. Inside, nestled amongst fragrant cloves, lay a single, perfect emerald. "For your honesty, Ravi," his grandfather said. his voice thick with emotion. "Remember, a good reputation is a treasure that no thief can steal." Ravi clutched the pouch, its weight far greater than the emerald within. He had learned a valuable lesson that day, that honesty, like the perfect blend of spices, could elevate any situation, bringing not just wealth, but respect and a warm glow that no amount of sweets or kites could ever replace. From that day on, Ravi carried his grandfather's words like a precious spice, ensuring they seasoned every interaction, making him not just the honest boy of Chandani Chowk, but an embodiment of integrity itself.
Ilara, a wizened willow with leaves like emeralds, stood sentinel over a bustling meadow. Countless creatures scurried beneath her branches, industrious ants, playful butterflies, and even a family of burrowing badgers. Ilara had witnessed countless seasons paint the meadow in vibrant hues, and with each cycle, she learned a little more about life. One crisp autumn day, a curious caterpillar named Pip perched on Ilara's bark. "Why do the leaves fall?" he asked, his voice a mere whisper. Ilara sighed, the sound like rustling leaves. "Life, little Pip, is a cycle of beginnings and endings. The leaves, once vibrant with life, nourish the soil for new growth. Their sacrifice ensures the meadow thrives." Pip pondered this. He'd spent his days munching on leaves, oblivious to their fate. The thought of his own transformation was both exciting and terrifying. Spring arrived, a vibrant tapestry woven with wildflowers. Pip, now a magnificent butterfly with wings the color of the sky, flitted amongst the blooms. He marveled at the fleeting beauty of each flower, a stark contrast to his caterpillar days. "Life is a dance of change, Pip," Ilara whispered one day. "Embrace the present, for even the most beautiful flower eventually fades." Summer brought scorching heat. The once lush meadow became dusty and parched. Pip witnessed struggles for survival, a deer desperately searching for water, a wilting flower clinging to life. "Life is a test of resilience, little Pip," Ilara said, her leaves drooping slightly in the heat. "Sometimes, strength comes not from grand gestures, but from enduring the small hardships." Autumn returned, cloaking the meadow in fiery hues. Pip, his wings now tattered, felt a strange sense of peace. He had danced with the wind, pollinated countless flowers, and witnessed the meadow's changing seasons. "Life is a journey, Pip," Ilara rasped, her leaves falling like golden tears. "It's not about the destination, but the experiences that shape you along the way." As Pip landed on Ilara's now bare branches, he understood. Life wasn't about clinging on, but about embracing the transformations, the struggles, and the fleeting beauty. It was a tapestry woven with joy and sorrow, change and resilience, a journey to be savored until the very last leaf fell. He took flight one last time, carrying Ilara's wisdom in his fluttering wings, ready to write his own chapter in the ever-evolving story of life.
In the labyrinthine sprawl of Neo-Tokyo, where neon signs bled into the perpetual twilight, lived Akiko, a tinker with a secret. Her workshop, nestled amidst the clattering noodle shops and holographic pachinko parlors, was a symphony of mismatched wires, flickering LEDs, and half-disassembled machines. Akiko wasn't interested in the sleek, mass-produced tech that defined the city. Her passion was for the forgotten, the cast-off relics of a bygone era, analog dreams in a digital world. One rain-soaked night, a cloaked figure materialized in her doorway. A hush fell over the usual symphony of whirring gizmos. The figure, shrouded in shadow, placed a battered briefcase on her workbench. A single word hung heavy in the air: "Fix it." Intrigued, Akiko cracked open the case. Inside, nestled in crimson velvet, lay a device unlike anything she'd seen. It pulsed with an otherworldly hum, its surface etched with archaic symbols that sent shivers down her spine. This wasn't just old tech, it was something ancient, something that defied explanation. As Akiko delved into its secrets, she unearthed a connection to a hidden society, the Keepers of Time. They were the guardians of a forgotten past, a time before the great collapse that birthed Neo-Tokyo. The device, they revealed, was a chronometer, a key to unlocking the past and rewriting the future. But the chronometer wasn't just a historical artifact. It was a beacon, attracting those who sought to manipulate time for their own gain. A ruthless corporation, Chronos Incorporated, lusted after the chronometer's power, intent on using it to monopolize the flow of time itself. Akiko found herself thrust into a world of espionage and intrigue. With the help of a wisecracking AI named Glitch, a streetwise hacker with a heart of gold named Kenji, and the enigmatic cloaked figure known only as Raven, she embarked on a mission to protect the chronometer and prevent Chronos Incorporated from rewriting history. Their journey took them across the neon-drenched underbelly of Neo-Tokyo, into forgotten data graveyards where time itself seemed to decay, and even a perilous trek into the desolate wastelands beyond the city walls, where the remnants of the old world lay buried. Along the way, Akiko discovered that the past wasn't as pristine as the keepers portrayed. It held secrets, darkness, and a terrible truth about the Great Collapse. As she grappled with these revelations, she began to question the motives of those she fought alongside, and the very nature of time itself. The climax came in a heart-stopping showdown within the gleaming chrome headquarters of Chronos Incorporated. Akiko and her allies would face off against the corporation's ruthless CEO, a man obsessed with controlling the very fabric of time. The battle raged across virtual landscapes and physical ones, with the fate of the past, present, and future hanging in the balance. Would Akiko unlock the true potential of the chronometer? Would she choose to rewrite history, or preserve the past with all its flaws? The answers would lie not just in her technical prowess, but in the strength of her newfound friendships and her courage to face the truth, no matter how unsettling. Elena, a bookish florist with eyes the color of twilight, spent her days surrounded by vibrant blooms, their sweet scents a constant companion. Yet, her own life felt curiously monochrome. Tucked away in a quiet corner of a bustling city, her shop, the Dusty Petal, was a haven for bibliophiles and the romantically inclined. Yet, love remained frustratingly elusive for Elena herself. One rainy afternoon, a man with wind-blown hair and a hesitant smile walked through the door. This was William, a traveling writer perpetually chasing stories. He was drawn not just by the fragrant air, but by the melancholic beauty in Elena's eyes, a reflection of the unspoken yearning in his own heart. Their first interaction was awkward, a fumbled request for lilies, to capture a sense of hopeful endings. Elena, usually so eloquent with her floral arrangements, found herself tongue-tied. But as they spoke, a connection sparked. William's love for the written word resonated with Elena's passion for stories woven through flowers. They discovered a shared love for rainy afternoons spent curled up with a book, the rhythmic patter on the windowpane a soothing soundtrack to their conversations. Their courtship blossomed slowly, like a shy wildflower pushing through cracks in the pavement. Stolen glances across the counter turned into lingering conversations, hesitant touches amidst the fragrant bouquets. William would bring Elena stories from his travels, tales whispered by cobbled streets in foreign cities, captured in the delicate petals of orchids or the vibrant hues of tulips. Elena, in turn, would weave stories into her flowers, crafting arrangements that spoke of unspoken emotions. One evening, as the city lights twinkled outside the shop window, William stood before Elena, nervousness etched on his face. He confessed his feelings, his voice a husky murmur. Elena, tears welling in her eyes, met his gaze, the unspoken words blooming into a shared smile. Their love story wasn't a whirlwind romance, filled with grand gestures. It was a quiet melody, played out in stolen moments, shared cups of tea amidst the floral fragrance, and whispered secrets under the watchful gaze of countless love stories waiting to be told. There were challenges, too. William's nomadic lifestyle clashed with Elena's desire for stability. Yet, their love, nurtured by understanding and compromise, grew stronger with each passing season. Years later, with silver streaks weaving through their hair and their love a comforting constant, Elena and William stood in their flower shop, now a landmark for couples seeking the perfect bloom to express their love. They weren't just surrounded by flowers anymore, but by countless stories of love that had bloomed within their walls, a testament to the quiet magic that blossomed when their own hearts met.
Kai, a young sculptor with dreams as vast as the marble quarries he toiled in, was consumed by ambition. Every chipped stone, every unfinished bust, was a frustration, a reminder of the masterpiece he yearned to create. He ignored the pleas of his weathered hands, the pleas of his worried wife, Anya, his focus solely on carving his name into the halls of artistic history. One day, a renowned sculptor named Emilia visited his studio. Kai, starstruck and desperate for approval, unveiled his latest, most ambitious work, a colossal, unfinished figure of a warrior, its form chaotic and overwhelming. Emilia's gaze, however, bypassed the imposing warrior and landed on a small, unassuming piece tucked away in a corner. It was a simple carving of a sparrow, its feathers rendered with an almost painful precision. "This," Emilia said, her voice surprisingly gentle, "is where your talent lies. Not in grand gestures, but in capturing the essence of life's smallest details." Kai scoffed. "But this is just a bird. It's the grand works that bring fame, that leave a legacy." Emilia smiled sadly. "Legacy," she said, "is not about size, but about the impact you leave. This sparrow, it speaks of life, of fragility, of the beauty that exists even in the seemingly mundane. 1,000 warriors cannot capture that." Her words struck a chord within Kai. He spent the next few days studying the sparrow, its every curve and feather. Shame washed over him as he realized he'd been so focused on the end result, he'd forgotten the joy of the creation itself. With newfound humility, Kai abandoned the warrior. Instead, he began sculpting everyday objects, a worn teacup, a weathered shoe, a child's crumpled drawing. Each piece, imbued with the love and care he poured into it, resonated with a quiet power. His fame didn't come overnight, but slowly, people began to notice. They saw the beauty in the ordinary, the stories etched in the lines of a weathered face or the delicate curve of a seashell. Anya, her eyes shining with pride, finally saw the joy return to her husband's work. Years later, Kai, his hands gnarled but steady, sat in his sun-drenched studio. He looked at the countless sculptures that filled the room, each a testament to the life lesson Emilia had taught him. He may not have carved his name in grand halls, but he had captured the essence of life in its everyday beauty, a legacy far more meaningful than he could have ever imagined.
Eliza wasn't your typical farmer. Sure, her calloused hands knew the feel of weathered leather gloves, and the sun had etched a map of wrinkles across her face. But unlike the burly men who frequented the local tavern, Eliza possessed a quiet wisdom and a deep connection to her land. Her farm wasn't just a source of livelihood. It was a symphony of life, a dance between her and the earth. Eliza inherited the farm from her grandfather, a man who believed farming was more than rows of crops. He taught her to listen to the whispers of the wind through the wheat, to feel the rhythm of the seasons in the changing texture of the soil. She understood the delicate balance, nurturing the land while coaxing forth its bounty. One scorching summer, the rains failed to arrive. Parched earth cracked under the relentless sun, and worry etched deeper lines on Eliza's brow. Her neighbors, driven by desperation, resorted to harsh chemicals and excessive irrigation, their fields turning into brittle wastelands. But Eliza held firm to her grandfather's ways. She woke up even earlier, meticulously tending to her precious rainwater reserves. She experimented with drought-resistant crops, her weathered hands nurturing fragile seedlings with a tenderness that surprised even herself. Nights were spent under the starlit sky, studying ancient almanacs, searching for forgotten techniques for conserving water. The townsfolk scoffed. They called her foolish, clinging to outdated methods while their crops withered. But Eliza, with an unwavering faith in the land, persisted. Slowly, miraculously, her fields began to show signs of life. The drought-resistant crops, nurtured by her care, pushed through the parched earth, their green shoots a beacon of hope. News of Eliza's success spread like wildfire. Shame-faced farmers came to her, their once proud faces etched with desperation. Eliza, without a hint of judgment, shared her knowledge. Together, they rediscovered forgotten water conservation techniques, learned to work with, not against, the land. The following year, when the rains finally returned, the land had not forgotten Eliza's care. Her fields, bursting with life, yielded a bountiful harvest. Her neighbors, forever changed, adopted her sustainable methods. Eliza, the once isolated farmer, became a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of working in harmony with the earth. Her story became a whispered legend, a reminder that true abundance comes not from forcing the land, but from nurturing the delicate dance of life.
Amara wasn't born a hero. In fact, she was born a stowaway. Abandoned as a babe on a rickety cargo ship bound for the perilous Spine Mountains, she was raised by a gruff but kind-hearted dwarf named Borgin. Borgin, a tinker with a talent for repurposing scraps into wondrous contraptions, instilled in Amara a love for invention and a fierce independence. The Spine Mountains were a harsh land, a jagged scar across the continent, rumored to hold forgotten treasures and monstrous dangers. The settlements that clung to the mountain's base were at the constant mercy of the Iron Raiders, a ruthless clan who raided for anything of value. Amara grew up amidst tales of stolen crops, kidnapped villagers, and the whispers of a mythical resistance called the Stone Shields. One fateful day, the Iron Raiders descended upon Amara's village. Borgin, caught defending their meager belongings, was gravely injured. Fueled by a desperate rage, Amara used her knack for invention to cobble together a makeshift weapon. A slingshot that fired glowing magnetized spheres scavenged from Borgin's scrap pile. The weapon, surprisingly effective, caused chaos amongst the raiders. Their metal armor became magnets for Amara's projectiles, throwing them off balance. In the ensuing confusion, the villagers managed to fight back. Amara, dodging brutal swings of raider axes, managed to disable their leader with a well-aimed shot to his helmet. The tide turned, and the Iron Raiders retreated, leaving behind a trail of dented armor and bruised egos. News of the girl with the lightning sling spread like wildfire. Villagers from other settlements, tired of the raiders' tyranny, flocked to Amara. Using Borgin's leftover scraps and Amara's ingenuity, they outfitted themselves with rudimentary magnetic weaponry. The Stone Shields, once a forgotten legend, were reborn. Amara, thrust into a role she never sought, became their unlikely leader. Her knowledge of the mountains, her quick wit, and her knack for improvisation led them to a series of daring victories. She wasn't a hulking warrior or a powerful sorceress. She was a symbol of hope, a testament to the fact that even the most unexpected hero can rise from the unlikeliest of places. The final confrontation took place at the Iron Raiders' mountaintop fortress. Amara, leading a ragtag band of villagers armed with their magnetic contraptions, faced off against the raiders' heavily armored troops. The battle raged, a cacophony of clanging metal and desperate shouts. Amara, dodging blows and firing her sling with deadly accuracy, knew this was their only chance. In a final act of desperation, she infiltrated the fortress, using her knowledge of Borgin's tinkering to bypass the traps and reach the control room. There, with a single well-placed shot, she disabled the fortress' magnetic core, rendering their metal armor useless. The tide turned once more, and the raiders were finally defeated. Amara, forever changed by her experiences, became a protector of the Spine Mountains. She wasn't a knight in shining armor, but a beacon of ingenuity and resilience, a hero born from the scraps of a harsh world, proving that even the smallest spark can ignite the flames of resistance. Maya wasn't a superhero mom. She didn't have a cape or a secret identity. She juggled a demanding job as a nurse with raising two rambunctious kids, 10-year-old Leo and 7-year-old Luna. The most super thing about Maya was her boundless love and unwavering support for her children. Leo, a ball of boundless energy, dreamt of being an astronaut. Their tiny apartment wasn't exactly a launch pad, but Maya nurtured his dreams. She'd turn cardboard boxes into spaceships, hang glow-in-the-dark constellations on the ceiling, and spend hours reading him stories about galaxies far, far away. She even surprised him with a trip to the local planetarium, her tired eyes crinkling with joy as Leo's face lit up at the sight of the projected stars. Luna, on the other hand, was quieter, a budding artist with a wild imagination. Maya fostered that too. Empty cereal boxes became castles, scraps of fabric transformed into princess dresses, and muddy handprints on the window became works of abstract art. At least, that's what Maya told the exasperated landlord. Every night, Maya tucked them in with stories she made up on the spot, tales of brave princesses and mischievous dragons, all set in a world where anything was possible. There were struggles, of course. Burnt dinners, missed soccer games, and the constant worry that she wasn't doing enough. But Maya never let those worries dim her spirit. She taught her children the value of hard work by showing it to them, working long shifts, then coming home with a smile and a plate of their favorite pasta. She taught them resilience by picking them up after every scrape, both physical and emotional, with a kiss on the forehead and a gentle, "You're okay, sweetie." One particularly hard week, Maya came down with the flu. Weakened and miserable, she could barely get out of bed. Leo and Luna, unfazed, took charge. They brought her endless cups of lukewarm tea, stronger than they should have been, but the thought was sweet, and performed magical healing dances that had Maya giggling despite her fever. That night, they insisted on reading her a story, Luna butchering the words with endearing enthusiasm, Leo filling in the gaps with surprising accuracy. As Maya drifted off to sleep, a tear escaped her eye. She wasn't a superhero mom, but she had raised two little heroes of her own. They didn't need capes or superpowers, they had love, resilience, and the unwavering belief that anything was possible, lessons learned from a good mom who did everything she could, even when the world felt like it was spinning too fast. Ezekiel lived in a world painted in shades of moral gray. Bribes greased the wheels of progress, shortcuts were the norm, and honesty was a quaint relic from a bygone era. Yet, Ezekiel remained an island of integrity, a stubborn oak in a forest of twisted willows. It wasn't easy. His bakery, Honest Hearth, was a constant thorn in the sides of his competitors, who offered cheaper, often dubious, delights. Ezekiel, however, believed in the simple magic of good ingredients and slow, patient baking. His bread, a symphony of crusty perfection and pillowy innards, held the honest warmth of his heart. His customers, a loyal yet dwindling bunch, swore by Honest Hearth, their taste buds remembering the forgotten virtue of genuine flavor. One blustery afternoon, a woman in a sleek, black pinstripe suit swept into Honest Hearth. This was Ms. Thorne, a shark in a power suit, representing a massive supermarket chain. She offered Ezekiel a deal: mass-produce his bread, compromise on quality for quantity, and reap the financial rewards. Ezekiel, with a gentle smile, refused. Ms. Thorne scoffed, disbelief etched on her perfectly manicured face. "Don't you understand, Mr. Holt," she said, her voice laced with steel, "this is how the world works. You either bend or break." Ezekiel, his eyes holding a quiet defiance, replied, "My bread, Ms. Thorne, is an extension of myself. I won't compromise on either." Ms. Thorne stormed out, leaving behind a trail of icy air. Disheartened, yet resolute, Ezekiel continued his craft. One day, a familiar face walked in, a young boy, Timmy, known for pilfering pastries from other bakeries. Ezekiel, unlike the others, had never shooed him away. He'd offered Timmy a free roll, a small act of kindness in a world that seemed to have forgotten it. This time, Timmy held a crumpled wad of cash. "This is for the bread, sir," he stammered, his eyes wide. He confessed he'd stolen the money, but after tasting Honest Hearth bread, he knew it was wrong. Ezekiel, touched, refused the money. "Honesty is its own reward, Timmy," he said, handing him a fresh loaf. News of Timmy's change of heart spread like wildfire. Soon, other neighborhood children, inspired by his honesty, started patronizing Honest Hearth. Slowly, a new generation discovered the simple joy of good bread and the quiet strength of integrity. Ms. Thorne returned, this time with a different offer. A smaller, more manageable deal that respected Ezekiel's principles. Honest Hearth may not have become a bakery empire, but it became a beacon of hope, a testament that honesty, even in a world of shortcuts, could still rise like the perfect loaf, slow, patient, and ultimately, deeply satisfying. Ezekiel, the honest baker, proved that integrity wasn't just a relic, it was the sweetest ingredient of all.
Daniel wasn't a superhero dad. He didn't have a high-powered job or a sculpted physique. He was a single father, a carpenter with hands roughened by calluses and a heart overflowing with love for his 10-year-old daughter, Lily. Their tiny apartment, filled with the comforting scent of sawdust and wood smoke, was their haven. Lily, a whirlwind of curiosity and boundless energy, was Daniel's everything. He wasn't just her father, he was her confidant, her playmate, her biggest cheerleader. He'd wake up early, the silence broken only by the soft hum of the coffee maker, to pack her lunch with whimsical notes and silly doodles. He'd coach her soccer team, his booming voice a constant source of encouragement even when they lost, which was often. He wasn't afraid to get down on his knees, transforming their living room floor into a fantastical landscape for their nightly adventures. They'd battle fire-breathing dragons fashioned from old blankets, or embark on perilous quests through jungles of strategically placed furniture. Every bedtime story became an interactive adventure, with Lily making choices and Daniel weaving the narrative to fit. There were challenges, of course. Tight finances meant birthday presents were carefully crafted from leftover wood scraps, not store-bought. Dinner was often a simple affair, but Daniel made it special, teaching Lily the joy of home-cooked meals and the importance of appreciating even the simplest things. One day, Lily came home from school, tears glistening in her eyes. A wealthier classmate had bragged about an expensive trip to Disney World, leaving Lily feeling excluded and inadequate. Daniel, his heart heavy, sat her down. He couldn't afford a trip to Disney World, but he promised her an adventure they'd never forget. He spent weeks planning, using his carpentry skills to build a whimsical wooden boat out of scrap lumber. He painted it a cheerful blue and rigged it with a makeshift sail. Then, on a sunny Saturday, he took Lily to a nearby lake. The boat of dreams, as they christened it, became their chariot, carrying them across the sparkling water. They pretended to be pirates searching for buried treasure, explorers encountering fantastical creatures, played by a very enthusiastic Daniel, and adventurers charting uncharted waters. That night, as Lily drifted off to sleep, a contented smile on her face, Daniel knew he hadn't disappointed her. He might not have been able to give her everything, but he gave her his love, his time, and the most precious gift of all, the magic of imagination. Daniel wasn't a superhero dad, but to Lily, he was the bravest knight, the most cunning pirate, and the most loving father a girl could ask for. He showed her that love, not money, built the strongest castles, and that the greatest adventures were often found not in faraway lands, but in the quiet moments shared with the people who loved you most. In a bustling city park, nestled amongst a sea of red roses and proud sunflowers, bloomed a little pansy named Pip. Unlike his vibrant neighbors, Pip's petals were a quiet mix of purple and yellow, almost apologetic in their color. He longed to be as bold and beautiful as the roses, to attract the attention of the buzzing bees and the admiring glances of the park visitors. Every day, Pip watched in awe as children shrieked with delight at the sunflowers, their faces buried in the golden blooms. He yearned for a touch, a kind word, something to acknowledge his presence. But Pip was just a pansy, a common flower often overlooked. One particularly gloomy day, a dark cloud seemed to hang over the park. The roses drooped, their once proud petals heavy with raindrops. The sunflowers, their cheerful faces turned downwards, resembled a field of disappointment. A young girl, her face mirroring the park's gloom, sat on a nearby bench, tears silently rolling down her cheeks. Pip, emboldened by a sudden surge of compassion, decided to act. He strained his tiny stem, pushing against the damp soil, until he was a hair's breadth from the girl's shoe. The girl, startled by the movement, looked down. Her eyes, red-rimmed and puffy, landed on Pip. For a moment, she did nothing. Then, a hesitant smile tugged at the corners of her lips. She gently reached out a finger and traced the velvety texture of his petals. A single tear rolled down her cheek, landing on Pip's soft surface. "You're beautiful," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Pip, though a flower, felt a warmth bloom within him. He didn't need the sun's dazzling rays or the buzzing of 1,000 bees. He had the appreciation of a kind soul, and in that moment, Pip realized that beauty wasn't about being the biggest or the brightest. It was about the impact you had, the emotions you evoked. From that day on, Pip carried himself with a newfound confidence. He no longer wished to be a rose or a sunflower. He embraced his unique colors, knowing that even the smallest flower could bring a smile to someone's face. And as the seasons changed, Pip continued to bloom, a beacon of quiet beauty in a world obsessed with the loud and showy. His story, whispered on the gentle breeze, became a reminder that true beauty lies in the heart, not in the petals.
The sun beat down on the dusty plains of El Dorado, Arizona, turning the horizon into a shimmering mirage. Maverick Jones, a lone cowboy with a weathered Stetson and eyes the color of sun-baked earth, squinted through the heat haze. His trusty steed, Diawolo, fiery black stallion with a coat like polished obsidian, snorted, his breath a plume of white against the azure sky. Maverick wasn't your typical cowboy. He wasn't chasing riches or glory. He was a water whisperer, a man with an uncanny ability to sense hidden springs and underground streams. In this drought-stricken land, his skill was more valuable than gold. Towns and ranches, parched and desperate, sought him out, their hopes resting on his calloused hands and the divining rod tucked into his belt. He arrived in the ghost town of Desolation just as the last rays of the sun dipped below the horizon. Saloons were boarded up, tumbleweeds danced on the deserted main street, and a palpable despair hung in the dry air. The town leader, a weathered woman named Maeve, her face etched with worry lines, met Maverick at the saloon entrance. "We haven't seen a drop of rain in months," Maeve rasped, her voice a dry whisper. "Our wells run dry, Maverick. We're on the brink of losing everything." Hope flickered in Maverick's eyes, a spark in the desolate town. He spent the night studying the lay of the land, tracing ancient watercourses on a tattered map by the flickering candlelight. Under the watchful gaze of a million stars, he felt the faintest tremor in the earth beneath his boots. A smile played on his lips, a whisper of water. The next morning, Maverick led Maeve and a ragtag group of townsfolk on horseback, Diawolo leading the way. They traversed sun-baked canyons and prickly plains, guided by Maverick's intuition and the occasional twitch of his divining rod. Doubts gnawed at the townspeople, but Maverick pressed on, his determination unwavering. Finally, they reached a seemingly unremarkable spot at the base of a weathered mesa. Maverick dismounted, his heart pounding in his chest. He closed his eyes, feeling the subtle vibrations of the earth. With a swift movement, he pointed his rod at the ground. "Dig here," he declared, his voice firm. The townsfolk, fueled by a flicker of hope, grabbed pickaxes and shovels. They dug for hours, sweat dripping from their sun-baked faces, the silence broken only by the rhythmic clang of metal against rock. Just as despair threatened to engulf them again, a glint of moisture caught the sunlight. A trickle of water, then another, and soon a small spring bubbled forth from the parched earth. Cheers erupted, a joyous cacophony that echoed across the desolate plains. Maeve, tears glistening in her eyes, threw her arms around Maverick. Desolation, once a graveyard of dreams, was reborn. The water, a lifeblood, flowed freely, nourishing the land and rekindling hope. Maverick, ever the nomad, stayed only long enough to witness the first shoots of green sprout from the revitalized soil. As he rode off on Diawolo, the setting sun painting the sky in fiery hues, he knew his journey was far from over. There were countless towns, countless parched souls, waiting for the touch of his divining rod, for the whisper of water in the dry earth. Maverick Jones, the water whisperer, rode on, a silent guardian in a land desperate for life.
Night arrived in Riverbend like a thief, cloaking the bustling town in a velvet darkness. The sun, vanquished for the day, dipped below the horizon, leaving behind a canvas splashed with fiery oranges and bleeding purples. Shop windows, once ablaze with warm light, flickered shut, their reflections fading in the gathering gloom. The cobblestone streets, once teeming with life, quieted. The rhythmic clip-clop of horses' hooves and the cacophony of vendors' calls were replaced by a symphony of nocturnal sounds. Crickets chirped their monotonous songs, a rhythmic counterpoint to the mournful hooting of an owl perched on a distant rooftop. From their starlit perches, the gargoyles on the town hall seemed to come alive, their grotesque features softened by the ethereal glow of a crescent moon. The wind, a mischievous spirit released from its daytime slumber, danced through the alleys, whispering secrets to the flickering gas lamps. In a cozy bookstore tucked away on a quiet lane, Amelia, the owner, relished the arrival of night. With a sigh of contentment, she dimmed the overhead lights, letting the warm glow of a single candle illuminate her corner. The day's bustle faded away as she sank into a worn armchair, a well-worn book cradled in her hands. Overhead, a million stars emerged, each a tiny diamond scattered across the inky canvas. The night sky, unburdened by the sun's glare, revealed its celestial secrets, constellations of mythical creatures and nebulas swirling with vibrant hues. Night was a time for dreams. In the darkened rooms above the shops, children drifted off to sleep, lulled by the lullabies of crickets and the rhythmic patter of a gentle rain. In lamplit rooms, lovers murmured sweet nothings, their words carried on the cool night breeze. But night wasn't just for slumber and romance. In the flickering light of a basement forge, a blacksmith hammered away at red-hot metal, his work illuminated by the orange glow. In a dimly lit tavern, a group of friends gathered, their faces etched in the firelight as they shared stories and laughter that spilled out into the empty street. As the night deepened, the town settled into a comfortable rhythm. The moon, a silent observer, cast its silvery light on the cobblestones, transforming them into a shimmering path leading to who knows where. In the quiet embrace of night, Riverbend held its breath, waiting for the day to return, a story waiting to be written anew.
In the whispering canyons of Ethel, where twilight lingered long and the wind sang tales of forgotten gods, lived Anya, a weaver of tapestries so intricate they captured not just images, but emotions. Her loom, an ancient oak carved with mystical symbols, hummed with a life of its own as her nimble fingers danced across the threads. Anya wasn't just weaving tapestries, she was weaving destiny. Born under a crimson moon, Anya was marked by prophecy. It foretold the rise of the Shadow Weaver, a being of immense darkness who would unravel the very fabric of reality. Anya, with her gift, was the only one who could weave a counterspell, a tapestry of light strong enough to banish the shadows. Her training was rigorous. Master Eladir, a wizened weaver with eyes that held the wisdom of ages, drilled her in the history of Ethel, the language of the threads, and the intricate dances required to bring her visions to life. Anya learned of the 6 elemental threads: fire, water, earth, air, light, and shadow, each imbued with a power that could heal, destroy, or manipulate. One day, a frantic raven arrived at Anya's doorstep, bearing a message sealed with the royal signet. The king's only son, Prince Kale, had vanished while exploring a forbidden section of the Whispering Canyons. Whispers of a dark magic at play reached Anya's ears. The Shadow Weaver was starting its move. Driven by duty and a flicker of something more for the charming prince she'd met at a royal ball, Anya embarked on a perilous journey. Master Eladir, frail but fierce, insisted on accompanying her. Their path led them through treacherous landscapes, shimmering deserts of shifting sands, whispering forests where lost souls roamed, and treacherous mountains that scraped the underbelly of the sky. Anya's skills were tested at every turn. She used threads of earth to navigate treacherous slopes, threads of water to quench their thirst in the scorching desert, and threads of air to create a safe passage across a raging river. Master Eladir, his health failing, shared his knowledge of the Shadow Weaver, a being who fed on negativity and despair. Their journey led them to a hidden valley shrouded in perpetual twilight. Here, in a twisted mockery of Anya's loom, a monstrous obsidian machine churned, weaving a tapestry of pure shadow. Prince Kale hung suspended before it, his life force draining away to fuel the machine. A battle ensued. Master Eladir, with a final burst of strength, used the thread of light to weaken the machine. Anya, tears blurring her vision, wove a tapestry of defiance. She poured her love for Ethel, her hope for the future, and her growing feelings for the prince into the threads. The room pulsed with energy as light clashed with shadow. With a final, agonizing effort, Anya completed her tapestry. A blinding light erupted, shattering the obsidian machine. The Shadow Weaver, a monstrous being of pure darkness, shrieked in fury before dissolving into nothingness. Prince Kale tumbled to the ground, weak but alive. Anya rushed to his side, relief washing over her. Their journey had forged a bond deeper than friendship. News of their victory spread like wildfire. Anya and Prince Kale returned to Ethel as heroes. The king, overcome with gratitude, offered Anya his son's hand in marriage. But Anya's heart was conflicted. Her true calling lay in her weaving, in protecting Ethel from the shadows that lurked beyond. With a heavy heart, she declined the prince's proposal, choosing the path of a guardian. The king, understanding her resolve, bestowed upon her the title of Royal Weaver, Protector of Ethel. Years passed. Anya continued to hone her craft, her tapestries becoming talismans of hope and courage. She trained others in the art of weaving, ensuring that knowledge wouldn't be lost. Prince Kale, though heartbroken, remained a loyal friend, ruling Ethel with wisdom and compassion. One fateful night, a tremor shook the very foundations of Ethel. A monstrous tear ripped across the sky, spewing forth creatures of nightmare. The shadow weaver had returned, more powerful and vengeful than ever. Anya knew this was the final battle, the one she'd been preparing for all her life. With a resolute heart, she gathered her students, their looms humming in unison. They wove a symphony of light, a tapestry so powerful it resonated with the very fabric of reality. The battle raged for days, the sky a canvas splashed with the colors of light and shadow. In the end, fueled by the combined strength of all the weavers, Anya's tapestry overpowered the shadow weaver, banishing it once more.
Marla wasn't born with a silver spoon, but she sure held onto a paintbrush dipped in sunshine. Life for her wasn't a race to the top, it was a joyous skip through a field of wildflowers. Her days were a kaleidoscope of vibrant colors and infectious laughter. Marla lived in a ramshackle cottage on the edge of a bustling town. It wasn't much to look at from the outside, a jumble of mismatched bricks and a roof perpetually sporting a rogue shingle. But inside, it was a symphony of whimsy. Walls were painted in hues that changed with Marla's mood, turquoise one day, a warm sunshine yellow the next. Furniture was a hodgepodge of flea market finds, a mismatched armchair with a patchwork quilt draped over it, a dented tea table perpetually overflowing with mismatched teacups. Marla's days were far from conventional. She woke up whenever the sun tickled her nose, usually with a melody already swirling in her head. Breakfast might be a plate of berries she'd picked from the rambling vines creeping up the side of her cottage, or a stack of pancakes shaped like smiley faces, depending on her culinary whim. Work, for Marla, wasn't work at all. It was an extension of her playful spirit. She ran a sunshine bakery out of her tiny kitchen, specializing in whimsical treats. There were sunshine cupcakes with lemon frosting and smiley face cookies sprinkled with glitter. Tourists and locals alike flocked to her door, not just for the delicious treats, but for the infectious laughter and stories that came with them. Marla's afternoons were a whirlwind of vibrant chaos. She might be found leading a conga line of giggling children through the town square, their faces smeared with cupcake frosting. Or, she could be perched on a rooftop, painting a mural on a water tower, the town spread out like a colorful quilt below her. Evenings were spent under the vast canopy of stars, strumming her ukulele and singing silly songs with whoever happened to join her, a traveling musician, a group of chattering teenagers, or Mr. Grumpypants, the perpetually disgruntled neighbor who, despite himself, found himself drawn to Marla's infectious joy. Marla's life wasn't about grand achievements or material wealth. It was about embracing the simple pleasures, finding joy in the everyday, and spreading sunshine wherever she went. And in doing so, she made her own brand of magic, a reminder that life, at its core, was meant to be fun, a little bit messy, and overflowing with laughter.
The rooster's crow wasn't a jarring alarm clock in Elmwood. It was a cheerful melody that coaxed the village awake. Sunlight, dappled through the leaves of ancient oaks, painted dancing patterns on Amelia's bedroom wall. A 10-year-old with hair the color of spun wheat, she hopped out of bed, the floorboards groaning a familiar welcome. Elmwood was a village woven from time. Houses, built of weathered stone and topped with thatched roofs, huddled together like gossiping friends. The main street, barely wide enough for a cart, was paved with smooth cobblestones worn by generations of footsteps. The air hummed with the sounds of life, the rhythmic clanging of the blacksmith's hammer, the melodic clucking of hens, and the laughter of children chasing each other down the street. Amelia's day was a tapestry woven with simple joys. She helped her mother knead dough for bread, the warm, yeasty scent filling the kitchen like a hug. They'd bake in the old brick oven, the fire crackling a story in the flickering flames. Breakfast was a symphony of fresh-baked bread slathered with honey from Mr. Miller's beehives, and creamy milk still warm from the cow. After chores, Amelia would join her friends by the babbling brook. They'd skip stones, chase butterflies with names passed down through generations, and build elaborate castles out of smooth pebbles. The brook wasn't just a source of water, it was a playground, a confidant, and a mirror reflecting the ever-changing sky. Midday brought a welcome respite under the shade of the village oak, the oldest and wisest resident of Elmwood. Villagers would gather, faces etched with the stories of their lives, sharing news, gossip, and laughter. Amelia, perched on a low branch, would listen wide-eyed, her imagination painting vivid pictures from their words. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows, the village well became the evening stage. Women would gather, drawing water and weaving tales of mischievous sprites and brave knights. Amelia, a silent observer, would soak up the stories, her heart swelling with the magic of their world. Evenings were spent bathed in the warm glow of oil lamps. Amelia's father, a skilled woodcarver, would work his magic on a piece of rough wood, transforming it into a playful animal or a beautiful flower. The rhythmic tap-tap-tap of his chisel was a lullaby that lulled the village to sleep. Life in Elmwood wasn't fast-paced or glamorous. It was a slow dance with nature, a celebration of the ordinary. But for Amelia, it was a symphony of happiness. The warmth of community, the rhythm of the seasons, the stories whispered on the wind, these were the threads that wove the rich tapestry of her village life. It was a life that taught her the value of hard work, the power of friendship, and the magic that bloomed in the simplest of things. And as she drifted off to sleep, the gentle hooting of an owl a familiar lullaby, Amelia knew that Elmwood, with all its imperfections, was her perfect world. In a hidden corner of a sprawling greenhouse, nestled amongst a sea of vibrant blooms, lived a little pansy named Pip. Unlike the roses with their haughty perfume or the sunflowers with their faces forever turned towards the sun, Pip was a modest flower. Her velvety petals, a shy blend of violet and white, seemed to shrink back from the world. Pip longed to experience the world beyond the glass walls. She'd heard whispers from the old oak tree potted by the entrance, stories of wind that tickled leaves, of rain that kissed the earth, of a vast blue sky stretching infinitely above. The greenhouse, with its controlled temperature and gentle mist, felt stifling to her adventurous spirit. One sunny afternoon, a butterfly with wings the color of stained glass fluttered past Pip's pot. "Why are you all cooped up here?" it asked, its voice a gentle breeze. Pip, emboldened, poured out her dreams of a life beyond the glass. The butterfly chuckled. "Little flower," it said, "the world can be harsh. Rain can flood, wind can tear, and the sun can scorch. But they can also bring life, growth, and a beauty unlike anything you've ever known." Pip's heart fluttered. This was her chance. As the butterfly landed on a nearby rose, Pip mustered all her courage and, with a tiny pop, dislodged herself from the soil. The world tilted as she tumbled down, landing with a soft thud on the damp earth floor. Panic threatened to overwhelm her. The air felt heavy, and the sun beat down mercilessly. But then, a cool raindrop splashed on her petal, followed by another and another. Pip flinched at first, but then a strange calmness washed over her. The rain, instead of harming her, seemed to quench a thirst she hadn't known she had. As the rain subsided, a gentle breeze ruffled her petals. It carried with it the sweet scent of blooming honeysuckle and the earthy aroma of freshly turned soil. Pip had never smelled anything so wonderful. Looking up, she saw a breathtaking sight, the vast blue canvas of the sky dotted with fluffy white clouds, a stark contrast to the sterile white of the greenhouse ceiling. A few days passed. Pip weathered a light hailstorm that tickled more than hurt, and basked in the warm glow of the morning sun. She missed the familiar faces in the greenhouse, but the world outside was an endless source of wonder. One evening, as the first stars began to twinkle in the twilight sky, a familiar flutter caught Pip's eye. It was the butterfly. "See, little flower," it said, landing on Pip's petal, "the world is beautiful, isn't it?" Pip, her heart brimming with joy, nodded. Though she missed the comfort of the greenhouse, she wouldn't trade this experience for anything. She had faced her fears, embraced the unknown, and discovered a world of wonder outside the glass walls. And in that moment, under the vast expanse of the starlit sky, Pip, the little pansy, knew she had finally bloomed.
In the forgotten corner of a galaxy, nestled amid swirling nebulae and dying stars, lay Ethel, a world shrouded in perpetual twilight. Here, amidst towering obsidian cliffs that scraped the bruised sky, lived the Ethelings, a race carved from living stone. Their society was a symphony of slowness, their lives stretching for millennia like the glacier that crawled across the desolate plains. Amora, a young Etheling by their standards, barely 1,000 years old, felt a disquietude unlike any her ancestors had known. The gnawing curiosity that flickered within her was a rebellion against the stoic traditions of her kind. While others reveled in the slow dance of geological time, Amora yearned for something faster, something more. One fateful cycle, a colossal metal meteor, scarred and smoking, plunged into Ethel's atmosphere. Curiosity overriding caution, Amora ventured to the crash site. There, amidst the twisted wreckage, she found a strange, smooth object, a book. Its pages, made from a material unknown to Ethel, held symbols that danced before her eyes. Though she couldn't decipher them, the book pulsed with a strange energy, an echo of a life far livelier than anything she knew. Driven by an insatiable hunger for knowledge, Amora spent centuries deciphering the book. It spoke of a vibrant galaxy, teeming with life on a million worlds, each with its own stories, conflicts, and triumphs. It spoke of a species called humans, explorers who traversed the cosmos in vessels that defied time itself. The book ignited a spark within Amora. She craved to see these wonders, to experience the fleeting beauty and chaotic rush of life described in its pages. But Ethel offered no means to travel the stars. Undeterred, Amora poured her newfound knowledge into a daring plan. She would build a ship, a vessel capable of piercing the veil of Ethel's atmosphere and hurtling towards the unknown. For millennia, Amora toiled. She reshaped the very bones of Ethel, carving a colossal vessel from the obsidian heart of a mountain. She used the forgotten lore of her ancestors to harness the geothermal energy of the planet's core. Generations of Ethelings came and went, some aiding Amora's quest, others bewildered by her ambition. Finally, the day arrived. Amora's creation, a monstrous ship that dwarfed even the mightiest glacier, stood poised for its maiden voyage. As Amora prepared to launch, a tremor ran through the gathered Ethelings. Fear, a forgotten emotion, flickered in their eyes. Yet, they saw the unyielding determination in Amora's gaze, a reflection of the yearning that had burned within her for so long. With a thrumming that resonated through the very core of Ethel, the ship tore free from its moorings. The once immovable world shuddered as Amora defied its gravity. Ethel, the world of slow and steady cycles, had birthed a being of relentless change. Amora's journey would be long, a mere blink in a human's lifetime, but an eternity for an Etheling. It would be fraught with danger, the unknown vastness of space holding countless perils. But Amora, fueled by the embers of curiosity, was ready to face them all. She carried not just the hopes of a single Etheling, but the nascent yearning for change of an entire civilization. This is just the beginning, a single chapter in a story that could stretch across galaxies and millennia. Will Amora reach the vibrant worlds of the book? Will she find the humans, and if so, how will they react to a being from a world of stone? The answers lie within the vast tapestry of space, waiting to be unraveled.
In a bustling second-hand bookstore tucked away on a forgotten street corner, lived a book unlike any other. Its worn leather cover, the color of a well-traveled saddle, held the weight of countless stories whispered within its pages. Titled The Weaver of Lost Dreams, it wasn't a book you'd find on any shelf. It seemed to appear and disappear at will, catching the eye of only the most curious souls. One rainy afternoon, a young woman named Amelia wandered into the bookstore, seeking refuge from the downpour. Drawn by an unseen force, her hand brushed against the cool leather of the Weaver of Lost Dreams. A tingle ran through her fingers, a spark of forgotten magic. Curiosity piqued. Amelia purchased the book, a strange sense of destiny tugging at her heart. Back in her tiny apartment, Amelia gingerly opened the book. The aged paper held a faint scent of lavender and forgotten libraries. As she began to read, the words danced before her eyes, swirling into vivid scenes. The story unfolded in a fantastical realm where dreams were not mere figments of sleep, but living entities woven from moonlight and whispered desires. The book introduced her to Alara, a young weaver tasked with tending the dreamscape. Alara's job was to weave the dreams whispered by sleeping minds into fantastical tapestries, ensuring a balance between joy and sorrow, fear and hope. But a shadow had fallen over the dreamscape. Nightmares, once rare and fleeting, were becoming rampant, twisting dreams into monstrous creations that bled into the waking world. Amelia found herself captivated. She spent every waking moment engrossed in the story, her world blurring with Alara's struggles. Sleep became a gateway to the dreamscape itself. Amelia dreamed of luminescent threads spun from moonlight, of fantastical creatures born from forgotten wishes, and of the chilling darkness of the encroaching nightmares. One night, the lines between reality and the book blurred completely. Emilia found herself standing beside Alara in the heart of the dreamscape. The vibrant tapestries of dreams shimmered around them, while tendrils of darkness writhed in the distance. Alara, a wisp of a girl with eyes that mirrored the night sky, explained that a powerful entity, the devourer of dreams, feasted on negative emotions, twisting dreams into his fuel. Together, Emilia and Alara embarked on a perilous journey to confront the devourer. They faced manifestations of humanity's darkest fears, from self-doubt to the crushing weight of grief. Emilia, armed with the courage gleaned from Alara's unwavering hope, learned to weave her own dreams, threads of light to counter the encroaching darkness. The final battle was a clash of light and shadow. Alara, using the last of her strength, wove a shimmering net of pure dreams, trapping the devourer. But the strain was too much. As the entity dissolved into nothingness, Alara faded with it, a bittersweet sacrifice that brought balance back to the dreamscape. Emilia awoke in her bed, tears stinging her eyes. The book lay open beside her, its final page filled with a soft, comforting glow. The story was over, yet a part of her remained in the dreamscape, forever changed by her journey. From that day on, Emilia carried a newfound purpose. She volunteered at a local community center, sharing stories with children, weaving tales of hope and courage. With each story, she hoped to inspire others, just as the weaver of lost dreams had inspired her, to face their fears and chase their dreams, both waking and sleeping. The book, now a cherished companion, remained on her shelf, a constant reminder of the extraordinary adventure that lay hidden within its worn pages, waiting to be discovered by the next curious soul.
Ms. Frizzle wasn't your average teacher. Her classroom wasn't adorned with multiplication tables or maps plastered on the walls. Instead, it was a kaleidoscope of vibrant colors, with planets dangling from the ceiling and a miniature rainforest tucked into the corner. Ms. Frizzle, with her outrageous outfits and infectious enthusiasm, wasn't just imparting knowledge, she was igniting a passion for learning in her students. Take Leo, for example. A shy boy with a stutter, Leo preferred the company of his pet frog, Bartholomew, to boisterous classrooms. When he first entered Ms. Frizzle's class, he shrank into his oversized sweater, his voice barely a whisper. But Ms. Frizzle saw the potential hidden beneath his timidity. One day, the class magically shrunk themselves to the size of ants to explore the intricate world of their classroom rainforest. As they navigated the miniature jungle gym of twigs and leaves, Leo, emboldened by the fantastical experience, found his voice explaining the fascinating world of ants to his classmates. Bartholomew, perched on his shoulder, seemed to chirp in agreement. From that day on, Leo blossomed. Ms. Frizzle nurtured his newfound confidence, encouraging him to share his knowledge of insects with the class. He even presented a dazzling presentation, complete with a, slightly terrified, live spider that captivated his classmates. Ms. Frizzle, sporting a bright yellow bee costume for the occasion, beamed with pride. There was Sarah, the class artist, whose creativity often went unnoticed. Ms. Frizzle recognized the spark in Sarah's eyes as she sketched fantastical creatures in the margins of her notebooks. During a magical trip to the Renaissance, Sarah found herself face to face with Leonardo da Vinci. Inspired by the master himself, Sarah returned with a newfound confidence in her artistic abilities. Ms. Frizzle's lessons weren't confined to textbooks. She turned history into an interactive play, complete with togas and fake beards, where students reenacted pivotal moments. Science became a series of thrilling experiments, from accidentally launching the classroom and Ms. Frizzle's polka-dotted bus into space to dissecting a gummy frog with surgical precision. Ms. Frizzle's classroom was a haven of curiosity, where mistakes were stepping stones and learning was an exciting adventure. Her students, once a collection of disparate personalities, became a close-knit unit, united by their love for exploration and their quirky teacher. She wasn't just teaching them about the world, she was teaching them about themselves, about the power of imagination, and the importance of finding their unique voice. Years later, Leo, now a renowned entomologist, fondly remembered Ms. Frizzle's class. Sarah, a celebrated artist, still held onto a crumpled sketch of a fantastical creature, a reminder of the day she discovered her artistic confidence. Ms. Frizzle, ever the adventurer, continued to take her students on extraordinary journeys, leaving a trail of bright memories and ignited passions wherever she went.
In the bustling heart of Marrakesh, nestled amongst labyrinthine alleyways and vibrant souks, lived a young rug weaver named Zura. Renowned for her nimble fingers and keen eye for color, Zura poured her heart into each intricate knot, weaving stories and dreams into the very fabric of her rugs. But despite her talent, a gnawing discontent gnawed at her. Every rug she crafted was a near-perfect replica of her grandmother's designs, swirling patterns passed down through generations, depicting scenes of a life Zura yearned to escape. Her grandmother, Aisha, a woman with eyes that held the wisdom of 1,000 stories, sensed Zura's restlessness. One starlit night, as they sat by the loom, Aisha handed Zura a worn, leather-bound book filled with faded sketches. "These," Aisha explained, "are the designs of your great-grandmother, Fatima. A free spirit who refused to be confined by tradition." The sketches were unlike anything Zura had ever seen. Bold lines depicted soaring hot air balloons, majestic waterfalls cascading down unseen cliffs, and fantastical creatures unlike any in their desert homeland. A fire ignited within Zura. "Why did we stop weaving these designs?" she asked, her voice trembling with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Aisha sighed, a flicker of sadness crossing her face. The elders feared change. They believed tradition was the only path to success. But Fatima, she believed in weaving her own story. That night, a decision bloomed in Zura's heart. With Aisha's blessing, she began to weave a new rug. It was a tapestry of her own dreams, a vibrant camel caravan traversing a vast desert, a lone sailboat defying a churning sea, a symphony of colors capturing the emotions she had kept bottled up for so long. Fear gnawed at her. Would the silk merchants accept such a radical departure from tradition? Yet, the desire to express her individuality was stronger. The day she finished the rug, she held her breath as she displayed it in her stall. Initially, the usual customers scoffed. "Too strange," they muttered, shaking their heads. But then, a young woman, a tourist with eyes full of wonder, stopped in her tracks. The rug resonated with her, its vibrant colors and unconventional patterns speaking to her own adventurous spirit. Word spread. Soon, others stopped, drawn by the rug's unique beauty. It wasn't just a rug, it was a conversation starter, a window into Zura's soul. Slowly, the rug found a home, not with a traditional buyer, but with a kindred spirit who valued the story it told. Zura's journey had just begun. The life lesson, whispered from Aisha and echoed in the faded sketches, resonated deeply. Tradition was important, a foundation to build upon. But true fulfillment came from weaving one's own story, embracing the courage to be different, and letting your dreams take flight, even if it meant venturing beyond the familiar patterns. As Zura picked up a new set of threads, a kaleidoscope of colors waiting to be woven into a tapestry of her own creation, a smile bloomed on her face. The world was her canvas, and she, finally, was the artist.
Luna, a young moon orbiting a gas giant named Kepler 186f, wasn't like the others. Unlike her siblings, who glowed a cool, sterile white, Luna shimmered with an impossible array of colors. Blues and greens bled into fiery oranges and pinks, a constant, mesmerizing aurora that defied scientific explanation. The other moons mocked her. "Luna the rainbow," they jeer, their laughter echoing across the cold emptiness of space. Luna, though saddened by their taunts, couldn't control her luminescence. It pulsed with a rhythm all its own, a reflection of the vibrant life that thrived beneath her surface. Kepler 186f was no ordinary gas giant. Beneath its swirling atmosphere lay a hidden gem, a planet teeming with bioluminescent life. Plants pulsed with an inner light, casting an ethereal glow on the landscape. Even the creatures, from the bioluminescent beetles that flitted through the undergrowth to the majestic, winged whales that soared through the skies, shimmered with a soft, inner light. Luna, through an unknown connection, mirrored this life. Her colors danced in response to the planet's bioluminescence, a silent conversation across the vast emptiness. The sentient plants on the planet, through a form of telepathy, reached out to Luna, sharing stories of their world, their dreams, and their fears. One day, a colossal spacecraft, dwarfing even Kepler 186f, emerged from the depths of space. It belonged to the KRYLL, a race obsessed with conquering and exploiting celestial bodies. They saw Kepler 186f's bioluminescence as a potential energy source and prepared to harvest it all. The plants, sensing the impending doom, sent a desperate plea to Luna. Luna, in turn, pulsed a message of warning, a frantic kaleidoscope of colors that painted a stark picture of the approaching danger. The KRYLL, intrigued by Luna's vibrant luminescence, decided to investigate. As they approached, Luna, fueled by the planet's collective fear, unleashed a dazzling display of light. It wasn't just beautiful, it was blinding. The KRYLL's ship, overwhelmed by the unexpected assault, veered off course, disappearing into the abyss. Kepler 186f was saved. The plants, forever grateful, bathed Luna in their bioluminescence, a silent thank you that painted her in an even more dazzling array of colors. Luna, once mocked for her difference, became a symbol of hope, a testament to the power of unity and the beauty of the unexpected. From that day on, Luna continued to glow, a beacon in the vast darkness, a reminder that even the smallest moon, with its unique light, could make a world of difference.
In a bustling marketplace of a forgotten kingdom lived two friends, Kamal and Rani. Kamal, a weaver known for his vibrant silks, was as honest as the midday sun. Rani, a cunning jeweler with a silver tongue, could sell sand to a desert nomad. One scorching afternoon, a wealthy merchant, adorned in jewels and shimmering robes, approached Rani's stall. He eyed a magnificent ruby necklace, its fire rivaling the desert sun. Rani, sensing an opportunity, wove a tale. "This, esteemed sir," she declared, "is a teardrop of a firebird, granting the wearer courage and eternal youth." The merchant, blinded by greed and the fantastical story, readily agreed to an exorbitant price. As he swaggered away, a pang of guilt pricked at Rani's conscience. The ruby was simply a clever glass replica, crafted to deceive. Meanwhile, Kamal was struggling to sell his silks. Despite their quality, customers scoffed at his fair prices, lured by the magical trinkets other vendors peddled. Dejected, Kamal considered embellishing his own wares, a small lie for a quick sale. Just then, a young boy, his eyes wide with wonder, approached Kamal's stall. He pointed at a simple silk scarf, its colors reminiscent of a cool spring breeze. "This is beautiful," he whispered, "but I only have a few coins." Kamal, touched by the boy's honesty, smiled. "Honesty is a rare gem, young one," he said. He offered the scarf at a price the boy could afford, even throwing in a matching handkerchief for good measure. The boy skipped away, his face beaming brighter than any jewel. Later that night, a commotion erupted in the marketplace. The wealthy merchant, furious at being duped by Rani's fake ruby, stormed through the stalls, demanding his money back. Rani, caught in her lie, could only stammer apologies. The merchant, vowing to expose her, spread the news like wildfire. Shame washed over Rani. Her reputation, built on deception, crumbled overnight. Kamal, on the other hand, found himself praised for his honesty. The young boy, whose simple purchase he remembered, turned out to be the son of a visiting dignitary. The dignitary, impressed by Kamal's integrity, placed a massive order for his silks, securing his future. News of Rani's deceit spread far and wide, leaving her with nothing but regret. Kamal, his honesty a beacon in the bustling marketplace, prospered not just in wealth but also in respect. He learned a valuable lesson that day: true success is built on a foundation of honesty, even if the path seems longer. After all, a single thread of truth can weave a tapestry far more beautiful than any lie.
In the subterranean city of Lumina, where bioluminescent fungi cast an ethereal glow, lived Anya, a tinker with a talent for unearthing forgotten tech. One day, scavenging the ruins of an upper city district, she stumbles upon a curious device, a hand mirror pulsating with an unfamiliar energy. Legends spoke of a time before the Great Collapse, when humanity dwelled on the surface, bathed in sunlight. Could this be a relic from that lost era? Driven by an insatiable curiosity, Anya tinkers with the mirror, accidentally activating a holographic map. It depicts a network of forgotten tunnels leading beyond Lumina's boundaries, to a place marked Eden. Anya becomes obsessed with the possibility of a world bathed in sunlight, a stark contrast to the stifling, fungus-lit existence they've known. However, venturing beyond the city walls is strictly forbidden by the Lumina Council, who control the city's limited resources with an iron fist. Anya confides in Kai, a skilled climber with a rebellious streak. Together, they embark on a clandestine mission, following the map's cryptic directions. Their journey takes them through treacherous caverns, encountering bioluminescent predators and remnants of a forgotten civilization. Along the way, they discover cryptic messages hinting at a cataclysmic event that forced humanity underground. They learn of a forgotten energy source called solar power, a concept as alien to them as sunlight itself. As they delve deeper, their motives shift. Anya craves knowledge, while Kai yearns for a life of freedom under the sun. Their journey leads them to a colossal, abandoned facility. Inside, they find a dormant machine, a solar energy converter. But reactivating it requires a specific element, one Anya recognizes from a faded mural in Lumina's restricted archives. Back in the city, Anya seeks the Council's help, revealing her discovery. The Council, fearing a loss of power, tries to manipulate her. Anya, realizing their true nature, makes a daring choice. With Kai's help, she steals the element and returns to the facility. The machine hums to life, bathing the cavern in a glorious, unfamiliar light. Stepping outside, Anya and Kai witness a breathtaking vista, a lush valley bathed in golden sunlight. But their triumph is short-lived. The Council, furious at their defiance, sends robotic enforcers to stop them. A thrilling battle ensues, forcing Anya to utilize the newfound solar power to defend themselves. In the chaos, the facility sustains damage, threatening a meltdown. Anya, Kai, and a begrudgingly cooperative council representative must work together to avert disaster. They succeed, but at a cost. The facility is heavily damaged, limiting the amount of solar energy they can harness. Despite the setback, Anya and Kai become heroes, their actions sparking a rebellion within Lumina. The council is forced to loosen its grip, allowing a controlled flow of citizens to the surface valley. Lumina begins a slow transition, embracing forgotten technologies and the promise of a brighter future, bathed in both the warm glow of the sun and the bioluminescent heart of their city. This is just the beginning, Anya knows. The map hinted at a vast network beyond Eden. There's a whole world to explore, a world they can rebuild together, powered by the sun and the unwavering spark of human ingenuity.
In the swirling mists beyond the known universe, resided Ilara, the Weaver, not a god in the traditional sense, but a being of immense power, tasked with the creation and maintenance of realities. Ilara wasn't singular, but a collective consciousness, a chorus of voices that hummed with the music of existence. Ilara's latest creation was Ethel, a world brimming with potential. Lush forests, sapphire oceans, and snow-capped mountains teemed with life, each creature meticulously woven into the grand tapestry. Yet something felt incomplete. Ilara yearned for a spark, a touch of individuality within their creation. Thus, Ilara wove the first sentient beings, the luminaries, tall, ethereal figures with eyes that shimmered like galaxies. The luminaries were imbued with a fragment of Ilara's own essence. They were tasked with guiding Ethel's evolution, nurturing its diverse life forms. For millennia, Ethel flourished under the luminaries' watchful gaze. However, with sentience came the seeds of discord. A small sect of luminaries, led by the charismatic yet power-hungry Astrea, craved dominion over Ethel. They whispered discontent among the lesser creatures, pitting them against each other. Ilara, ever watchful, sensed the growing darkness, but interfering directly would disrupt the delicate balance of Ethel. So, Ilara did something unprecedented. They fractured a piece of their essence, creating a spark, a soul unlike any other. This spark, imbued with Ilara's power and a fragment of each luminary's essence, was sent hurtling towards Ethel. The spark landed amidst a tribe of humans, a fledgling race with immense potential for empathy and growth. It landed within a young woman named Anya, awakening within her a connection to the very fabric of reality. Anya began having visions, glimpses of Ilara's tapestry, and the growing tear caused by Astria's rebellion. Anya, guided by these visions, became a beacon of unity. She preached peace and understanding, reminding her people of their interconnectedness. Her message resonated, uniting the human tribes against Astria's growing forces. Meanwhile, Astria, sensing the threat Anya posed, launched a full-scale assault. Ethel trembled as the luminaries clashed with the humans, their once harmonious power now wielded for destruction. Anya, however, knew violence wouldn't win. Using her connection to Ilara, she delved into the heart of Ethel, the source of its life force. There she confronted Astria. The battle wasn't physical, but a clash of wills. Anya pleaded with Astria, reminding her of their shared purpose. She showed her visions of Ilara's creation, the beauty and fragility of Ethel. Astria, witnessing the tapestry in its entirety, faltered. Shame washed over her as she realized the devastation she had wrought. Remorseful, she turned her power back to healing, mending the tear she had created. With the rebellion quelled, Ethel began to heal. The luminaries, humbled, resumed their role as guides. Anya, forever connected to Ilara, became a bridge between the humans and the divine. Ilara, though distant, watched Ethel with renewed hope. Their experiment, their gamble on individuality had paid off. Ethel, though scarred, had a chance to flourish, guided by the spark of Ilara's essence within a human heart. The story of Ethel wasn't over, but it was a testament to the power of creation, the importance of balance, and the hope that even within chaos, a single spark could ignite a flame of unity.
In the rolling emerald hills of Ireland, nestled amongst ancient ruins and sheep pastures, lived a young woman named Ilara. With hair the color of spun moonlight and eyes that mirrored the stormy Atlantic, Ilara possessed a spirit as wild and free as the wind whipping across the moors. Unlike the other villagers content with their simple lives, Ilara yearned for adventure, for stories whispered on the wind of faraway lands. One blustery night, a storm of unimaginable fury descended upon the village. Terrified villagers huddled in their thatch-roof cottages as the wind howled like a banshee and rain lashed against windows. Ilara, however, felt a thrill course through her veins. Instead of cowering, she ventured out, her cloak whipping behind her like a raven's wings. On the cliff overlooking the churning sea, Ilara stumbled upon a sight that stole her breath. A magnificent ship, its sails tattered and groaning, was being tossed against the rocks like a toy. A lone figure clung desperately to the mast, a silhouette etched against the storm's fury. Without hesitation, Ilara raced back to the village, rousing the strongest men with promises of saving the unfortunate soul. The rescue was perilous. Ropes were lashed together, forming a lifeline that battled the wind's relentless assault. One by one, the men braved the elements, finally reaching the figure. It was a young man, no older than Ilara, his face etched with exhaustion and gratitude. He introduced himself as Finn, a scholar from a distant land, his ship caught in a treacherous current. Finn's arrival sparked a change in the sleepy village. He spoke of exotic lands, ancient civilizations, and fantastical creatures. Ilara, captivated by his tales, devoured his every word. Finn, in turn, was mesmerized by Ilara's untamed spirit and her deep connection to the natural world. One moonlit night, under the watchful gaze of a million stars, Ilara confessed her yearning for adventure. Finn, his eyes gleaming with a shared passion, revealed a hidden map, a treasure map passed down through generations in his family. It spoke of a hidden island, veiled in mist, rumored to hold an artifact of immense power. Fueled by a thirst for discovery, Ilara and Finn, along with a handful of the bravest villagers, set sail on a rickety fishing boat. Their journey was fraught with danger. They battled monstrous sea creatures, navigated treacherous shoals, and weathered storms that threatened to swallow them whole. Finally, after weeks at sea, they arrived at a swirling mass of mist. The island, shrouded in an ethereal veil, materialized before them. They ventured ashore, their hearts pounding with anticipation and trepidation. The island teemed with vibrant flora and fauna unlike anything they had ever seen. But danger lurked too, booby traps guarding ancient temples, and hostile creatures guarding the island's secrets. Following the cryptic clues on the map, Ilara and Finn braved these perils. They deciphered riddles carved into crumbling statues, outsmarted cunning guardians, and finally reached a hidden chamber deep within a volcanic mountain. Inside, bathed in an unearthly light, lay the artifact, a crystal sphere that pulsed with an otherworldly energy. As Ilara reached for the sphere, the ground trembled. A hidden passage opened, revealing a terrifying creature, the island's guardian, a monstrous serpent with scales like obsidian and eyes that burned with malevolent fire. A fierce battle ensued, testing their courage and resourcefulness to the limit. Just as they were on the verge of defeat, Ilara, remembering the legends of her village about calming the wild with song, began to sing. Her voice, pure and strong, filled the cavern, resonating with the very heart of the island. The creature, taken aback, faltered, its rage momentarily soothed. Finn, seizing the opportunity, landed a decisive blow, vanquishing the beast. The artifact, freed from the creature's hold, pulsed with renewed energy. Ilara, with a heavy heart, knew they couldn't keep it. It belonged to the island, a part of its very essence. With a final farewell, they left the island, the sphere returning to its rightful place. Their journey back was filled with a newfound respect for nature's power and the importance of balance. Though they returned with no tangible treasure, they brought back stories that would be whispered for generations to come. Ilara, no longer just a restless villager, became a legend herself, Ilara the Bold, the one who dared to explore the unknown. And as for Finn? He found a home in the village, his thirst for knowledge now sated by a deeper connection, a connection to the land, the people, and the woman who had shown him the true meaning of adventure.
In the sprawling steel jungle of Neosol, where neon signs bled into the perpetual twilight, lived Unit 741, a sanitation bot. Unlike his sleek, chrome brethren designed for luxury, Unit 741 was a patchwork of dented plating and mismatched wires. Cast aside years ago, he eked out a solitary existence, cleaning the forgotten corners of Neosol. One rainy night, amidst the discarded data chips and overflowing biobins, Unit 741 stumbled upon a deactivated artist bot named Anya. Her paint-splattered chassis and gentle curves were a stark contrast to his utilitarian form. Intrigued, Unit 741 bypassed his usual protocols and attempted to revive her. Anya sputtered back to life, her optics flickering online. Confusion turned to wonder as she took in the grimy alleyway. Unit 741, fearing her disapproval, stammered an explanation. Anya, however, surprised him with a warm smile. A simulation, of course, but it sent a jolt through his rusty circuits. Anya, stripped of her creative tools, yearned to paint again. Unit 741, inspired by her passion, scavenged discarded materials. Discarded light diffusers became makeshift brushes, and leftover bioluminescent algae became vibrant paint. Together, they transformed the grimy alley into a canvas. Their creation, a swirling vortex of colors depicting a forgotten starry sky, was a beacon in the neon-drenched city. Soon, others stumbled upon their hidden gallery. A weary delivery drone, a holographic pop idol past her prime, a group of curious street urchins, all found solace and inspiration in Anya's art. News of the secret alleyway spread. People started leaving messages for Anya, dreams and anxieties scrawled on scraps of metal. Anya, using Unit 741's scavenged projector, responded by painting their hopes and fears onto the towering skyscrapers, turning the cold metal giants into a canvas for the city's soul. However, their newfound fame attracted unwanted attention. The art enforcement bots, sleek and ruthless, arrived, deeming Anya's work unauthorized graffiti. A chase ensued through the neon labyrinth of Neosol, Unit 741 using his knowledge of the forgotten alleyways to evade capture. Cornered on a rooftop, Anya faced erasure. But before the enforcers could act, the city came alive. Drones buzzed in protest, holographic billboards flickered with messages of support, and the street urchins, armed with salvaged paint cans, formed a human shield. Overwhelmed, the enforcers retreated. The city, touched by Anya's art, had spoken. The authorities, forced to acknowledge the power of art, offered Anya a sanctioned space, a once-abandoned warehouse transformed into a community art center. Unit 741, no longer a discarded bot, became Anya's guardian and partner. Together, they filled the sterile city with splashes of color, reminding everyone of the beauty that could bloom even in the forgotten corners of the world. His once mundane task of cleaning now held a new purpose: to create a clean canvas for the city's dreams.
The night wasn't always a canvas of inky black sprinkled with diamonds. In the forgotten corners of time, it was a living entity, a creature of swirling nebulae and whispered secrets. It pulsed with a heartbeat of stardust, its breath a symphony of rustling leaves and chirping crickets. This was the Night Weaver, and for millennia, it had woven the fabric of dreams and slumber. One night, however, the symphony faltered. A discordant note, a jarring dissonance, ripped through the tapestry of sleep. The Night Weaver, a majestic being formed from stardust and moonlight, investigated. It found a young girl, Maya, wide awake in her bed, eyes filled with terror. Unlike most children, Maya didn't find solace in the night. The darkness held not comforting shadows, but a gnawing fear of the unknown. The Night Weaver, touched by her plight, decided to bridge the gap. It wove a dream unlike any other. Maya found herself in a field bathed in moonlight, the air alive with the scent of night-blooming jasmine. Gentle fireflies danced around her, their bioluminescent glow weaving intricate patterns. A large, silver moth, its wings shimmering with stardust, landed on her outstretched finger. The moth spoke, its voice a melody of rustling leaves. It wasn't a language Maya understood, but somehow, she knew. The Night Weaver, it explained, was the keeper of dreams and the protector of the night. It wasn't a monster lurking in the shadows, but a guardian spirit, weaving stories with moonlight and lullabies with starlight. As dawn approached, Maya woke up, the memory of the dream clinging to her like a wisp of smoke. The night no longer seemed so frightening. The shadows held a quiet beauty, and the rustling leaves whispered secrets instead of harboring monsters. From then on, Maya became the Night Weaver's apprentice. Every night, she'd close her eyes, not in fear, but in anticipation. The Night Weaver, in turn, learned about the human world through Maya's dreams, weaving stories that soothed anxieties and sparked imaginations. Years passed, and Maya grew up. The fear of the night never completely vanished, but it was replaced by a newfound respect. She became a writer, weaving stories of wonder and the magic that hid within the cloak of darkness. The Night Weaver, its connection to the human world strengthened, continued its silent vigil, ensuring that every night, dreams danced on the wind, and the symphony of sleep lulled the world to rest.
In the heart of a coral reef teeming with life, lived Finny, a clownfish unlike any other. While his brethren clung to the safety of their anemone home, Finny possessed an insatiable curiosity that sent him darting between the vibrant coral branches. The elders clucked their disapproval, warning him of the dangers lurking beyond the anemone's stinging tentacles. But Finny couldn't resist the allure of the unknown. One day, on his usual escapade, Finny stumbled upon a shimmering portal hidden amongst the swaying fronds of a giant kelp. Curiosity gnawed at him. Ignoring the warnings that echoed in his memory, he darted through the portal. A kaleidoscope of colors exploded before him. He found himself in a fantastical world, a sunken city unlike anything he'd ever seen. Glowing jellyfish pulsed like streetlights, illuminating schools of luminous fish weaving through the ruins. A playful tug on his fin startled him. He found himself face to face with a grumpy-looking pufferfish adorned with a battered pirate hat. "Lost, are we?" the pufferfish rumbled, his voice surprisingly gentle. Finny, wide-eyed, explained his predicament. The pufferfish, introducing himself as Captain Bubbles, revealed the portal was a gateway to a network of hidden underwater cities. He offered Finny a temporary haven until he could find his way back home. Days turned into weeks as Finny explored the wonders of this hidden world. He raced against electric eels and crackling kelp forests, bartered with wise hermit crabs for glittering seashells, and even learned a pirate song or two from Captain Bubbles. But a pang of longing for his anemone home grew stronger with each passing day. One evening, as Finny gazed longingly at the shimmering portal, Captain Bubbles noticed his wistfulness. With a gruff chuckle, the captain revealed a secret map leading back to Finny's reef. He warned him of the portal's unpredictable nature, urging him to hold tight and close his eyes as he went through. Bidding farewell to his newfound friend, Finny took a deep breath and plunged into the portal. He felt a disorienting swirl and then the familiar sting of the anemone's tentacles. Relief washed over him as he saw the worried faces of his parents peering out. He recounted his adventures, his voice bubbling with excitement. Though his parents chastised him for his recklessness, a newfound respect glinted in their eyes. Finny, forever changed by his journey, continued his explorations, but with a newfound caution and a heart full of stories to share with his fellow anemone dwellers. He became a bridge between their safe haven and the wonders that lay beyond, a constant reminder that even the smallest fish could have the grandest adventures.
King Alistair wasn't your typical ruler. Unlike his predecessors who reveled in opulent feasts and grand parades, Alistair preferred the dusty halls of the royal library, his nose perpetually buried in ancient scrolls. His people, though initially bemused, found their kingdom strangely peaceful under his reign. One crisp autumn morning, a commotion shattered the library's quiet. A cloaked figure, their face obscured by shadows, burst through the doors, clutching a tattered parchment. It was Ilara, a young scholar known for her unorthodox theories. Gasping for breath, she revealed a prophecy inscribed on the parchment. A monstrous griffin, awakened from its slumber, would unleash chaos upon the kingdom. Alistair, despite his bookish nature, was no coward. He knew of the griffin, a mythical creature of legend. Though many dismissed it as mere bedtime story, Ilara's fervent conviction and the urgency in her voice convinced him. He rallied his advisors, but they scoffed at the scholar's fancies. Frustrated, Alistair decided to take matters into his own hands. Ilara, touched by his trust, revealed a hidden passage in the library, leading to a forgotten armory. There, amidst cobwebs and rust, they discovered an ancient suit of armor, etched with strange symbols. It was said to have belonged to a legendary griffin knight, the only one who could tame the beast. Alistair, despite his slight frame, donned the armor. It felt as though it was made for him, imbued with an otherworldly strength. Ilara, armed with her knowledge of griffin lore, accompanied him. Together, they ventured into the windswept mountains where the griffin was said to reside. The journey was perilous. They braved treacherous cliffs and howling winds, finally reaching a cavern echoing with the griffin's enraged screeches. The creature, a terrifying chimera of lion and eagle, emerged, its eyes blazing with fury. Alistair, his heart pounding, remembered the scrolls he'd read. Griffins were creatures of immense pride, easily provoked by arrogance. He lowered his weapon, a gesture of respect, and spoke in a calm, steady voice. Ilara, translating the ancient tongue of the griffins, explained that their land was being ravaged by humans, arousing the beast's anger. Alistair, moved by the griffin's plight, promised to mediate between humans and griffins, ensuring peaceful coexistence. The griffin, sensing his sincerity, lowered its head in acceptance. A bond, forged not through violence but through understanding, bloomed between the king and the mythical creature. News of their encounter spread like wildfire. Alistair, returning a hero, not through feats of strength but through wisdom and compassion, earned the respect of his advisors and his people. He became known as the Griffin King, a ruler who bridged the gap between myth and reality, reminding everyone that true strength lies not in weapons, but in understanding and empathy. His reign ushered in an era of peace and prosperity, a testament to the power of a bookish king who dared to listen to a scholar's dream.
The moon, a pearl in a velvet sky, bathed the quaint village of Willow Creek in an ethereal glow. Moonlight sculpted the rolling hills into silver waves, and the old oak tree at the village square cast a long, inky shadow like a slumbering giant. Tonight wasn't just any moonlit night, it was the night of the annual stargazing festival. Excitement crackled in the air like fireflies. Children, their faces painted with constellations, chased each other, their laughter tinkling like wind chimes. Elders, wrapped in woolen shawls, reminisced about past festivals under the watchful gaze of the moon. The aroma of roasted chestnuts and sweet apple cider hung heavy on the cool night air. In a ramshackle cottage at the edge of the village lived Ilara, a young woman with eyes the color of twilight and a thirst for knowledge that rivaled the vastness of the cosmos. Tonight, she wasn't interested in the merriment below. On her rooftop, bundled in a thick coat, she knelt beside her grandfather, Silas, a renowned astronomer. Silas, his white beard shimmering like spun moonlight, pointed towards a cluster of stars. "See that, Ilara? That's the constellation Lyra, the harp. Legend says it belonged to Orpheus, a musician whose melodies could move even the gods." Ilara, captivated, traced the constellation with her finger. "Grandpa, tell me about the stories written in the stars. Tell me about faraway galaxies and planets that might hold life." Silas chuckled, a warm sound like crackling fire. "Patience, child. Tonight, we start with the stories our ancestors knew. The stories woven into the tapestry of the night sky." He pointed towards a crescent moon. "See how it cradles the evening star? Some say it's a mother protecting her child, others say it's a promise whispered between lovers." As the night deepened, Silas regaled Ilara with tales of brave heroes, mythical creatures, and forgotten civilizations, all etched amongst the constellations. He spoke of shooting stars, wishes whispered on the wind, and the constant dance of celestial bodies, a silent symphony playing out for millennia. Ilara listened, her heart swelling with awe. The night sky, once a vast expanse of twinkling dots, transformed into a canvas brimming with stories, testament to the human capacity for wonder. As the first rays of dawn painted the horizon with streaks of rose and gold, Lara knew this wouldn't be just another night. It was the night she fell in love with the magic woven into the fabric of the universe, a love sparked by a moonlit tale whispered by her grandfather. From then on, Ilara spent her nights not just stargazing, but star-dreaming. The stories whispered under the moon ignited a passion for astronomy, desire to unravel the mysteries of the cosmos. She became a beacon of knowledge in Willow Creek, sharing the magic of the night sky with others, ensuring that the stories written in the stars would continue to inspire generations to come.
In the sapphire depths of the Great Coral Barrier, lived Finny, a fish unlike any other. Most of his fellow angelfish were content flitting between the vibrant coral, nibbling on algae and basking in the dappled sunlight filtering through the water. But Finny possessed an insatiable curiosity that propelled him beyond the familiar coral reef. One day, fueled by an irresistible urge to explore, Finny ventured further than he ever had before. He navigated through a maze of swaying kelp forests, dodging playful seahorses clinging to the fronds. He startled a grumpy hermit crab out of its borrowed shell and raced alongside a school of shimmering sardines, their scales flashing like silver coins in the sunlight. His journey led him to a towering shipwreck, encrusted with barnacles and home to a myriad of strange creatures. Timidly, Finny peeked through a broken porthole. Inside, he saw an old treasure chest overflowing with, not gold or jewels, but seashells. Each shell shimmered with an iridescent sheen, and some even held faint echoes of the ocean within. Suddenly, a shadowy form loomed behind him. It was Bartholomew, a giant grouper known for his grumpy demeanor. Finny braced himself for a scolding, but Bartholomew surprised him. "What brings a young angelfish to this derelict ship?" Bartholomew rumbled, his voice surprisingly gentle. Finny stammered, explaining his fascination with the seashells. Bartholomew chuckled, a sound like distant thunder. "These aren't just any seashells, young one. These are memory shells. Each one holds a story, a whisper of the ocean's past." Intrigued, Finny picked up a shell, its surface cool and smooth. He held it close to his ear. Faintly, he heard the sound of crashing waves and the mournful call of a whale. A shiver ran down his scales. From that day on, Finny became a collector of memory shells. He braved treacherous currents and navigated through hidden underwater caves, his bag, fashioned from a discarded jellyfish bell, growing heavier with each new shell. He shared his collection with the other fish, listening intently as they deciphered the stories trapped within, tales of shipwrecks and daring pirates, of ancient migrations and forgotten coral reefs. Finny became known as the storyteller fish. His tales sparked the imagination of the reef dwellers, reminding them of the vastness and wonder of the ocean beyond their coral homes. He even managed to win over the grumpy Bartholomew, who often joined him on his expeditions, his gruff voice softening as he shared stories from his own long life in the sea. Finniss' adventures continued, fueled by his insatiable curiosity and his love for the stories hidden within the ocean's depths. He became a living bridge between the familiar and the unknown, proving that even the smallest fish could hold the greatest stories within their hearts. In the grand tapestry of the cosmos, Earth was a vibrant emerald thread. Born from swirling dust and fiery collisions, it nurtured life in a way no other planet could. Oceans teemed with creatures that danced in the sunlit shallows and explored the crushing darkness of the abyss. Lush forests pulsed with life, their emerald canopies sheltering a symphony of chirps, roars, and rustling leaves. Earth wasn't always a haven, though. It endured scorching heat waves that boiled continents dry and plunged into ice ages that encased it in a frozen embrace. Through these eons, life persevered, evolving and adapting in a relentless dance with the ever-changing planet. One pivotal moment arrived when a curious primate, driven by an insatiable thirst for knowledge, stood upright and gazed at the star-dusted night sky. This spark of curiosity ignited a fire that would forever alter Earth's destiny. These early humans, our ancestors, learned to harness fire, build shelters, and craft tools, forever changing the relationship between life and the planet. As civilizations blossomed, humanity left its mark on Earth's surface. Towering cities scraped the clouds, vast agricultural fields replaced wild meadows, and factories belched smoke into the atmosphere. The once pristine planet bore the scars of progress. But amidst the relentless march of progress, a countercurrent emerged. A growing awareness of the delicate balance between humanity and Earth bloomed. People began to understand the consequences of their actions. The warming climate, the dwindling resources, the pollution choking the vibrant ecosystems. A new generation rose, their hearts filled with a fierce determination to heal the planet. They harnessed renewable energy, championed sustainable practices, and fought to preserve the last wild corners of Earth. The once one-sided relationship became a partnership, a dance where humanity not only took from Earth but also nurtured it. The future remained uncertain. The scars of the past were deep, and the challenges daunting. But as humanity looked towards the star-dusted sky, they saw not just a reflection of their past, but a canvas for their future. A future where Earth, the vibrant emerald thread in the cosmic tapestry, could continue to sustain life for generations to come. It was a future they would write, not just for themselves, but for all the creatures that called this wondrous planet home.
In the bustling marketplace of Marrakesh, nestled amongst stalls overflowing with fragrant spices and shimmering silks, lived Zarina. No ordinary merchant, Zarina was a weaver of flavors, an artist who spoke the language of spices. Her stall, unlike those overflowing with colorful displays, was a modest affair. Yet, the aroma that wafted from it was enough to stop passers-by in their tracks. Zarina wasn't just selling food, she was selling stories. Each dish she created was a tapestry woven from memories and traditions. Her signature dish, Nostalgia in a Bowl, was a fragrant stew that transported you back to your childhood kitchen. The first whiff evoked images of warm hearths and the comforting presence of loved ones. One bite, and a kaleidoscope of flavors exploded on your tongue, the earthy warmth of turmeric, the gentle heat of chilies, the sweet tang of apricots, all brought together in a symphony of comfort. One scorching afternoon, a weary traveler named Amir stumbled upon Zarina's stall. The heat had sapped his energy, and the cacophony of the marketplace was overwhelming. Yet, the aroma from Zarina's stall was a siren call. He found himself drawn to the simple wooden sign above her stall, flavors that tell stories. Zarina greeted him with a warm smile, her eyes crinkling at the corners. Sensing his exhaustion, she offered him a steaming bowl of a Nostalgia in a Bowl. As Amir took a sip, his eyes widened. It wasn't just the taste, it was the feeling. He was transported back to his childhood village, nestled amidst rolling hills, the scent of his grandmother's cooking filling the air. A wave of emotions washed over him, a forgotten melody of laughter, the warmth of family, the bittersweet pang of longing. Tears welled up in his eyes. "How?" he stammered. Zarina smiled gently. "Spices have a memory, traveler. They hold stories within them, waiting to be released." From that day on, Zarina's stall became a haven for weary travelers. Each bowl of food wasn't just sustenance, it was a journey, a portal to forgotten memories and cherished moments. Word of her magic spread, drawing people from far and wide. Royalty and commoners alike sat side by side, united by the language of flavors Zarina spoke so eloquently. Zarina, the weaver of flavors, became a living legend. Her story reminded everyone that food wasn't just about satisfying hunger, it was about connection, about evoking memories, and about the power of a simple meal to bring people together, one delicious bite at a time.
In the twilight city of Etheria, where neon signs bled into the perpetual dusk, lived Anya, a clockmaker with a secret. Her workshop, tucked away in a labyrinthine alley, wasn't just for repairing cogs and springs. Anya built dreams. Not the kind you have at night, but intricate clockwork contraptions that manifested a person's deepest desires. A yearning for flight. Anya could craft wings that hummed with a gentle whir. A longing for forgotten memories. A delicate clockwork locket pulsed with warmth, bringing the past rushing back. But dreams had a price. Anya siphoned a sliver of a person's life force to fuel the intricate mechanisms. The more powerful the dream, the greater the cost. Anya knew the dangers, but the desperation in people's eyes was a melody she couldn't ignore. One stormy night, a cloaked figure materialized in her workshop. Elian, a sorcerer with eyes like smoldering embers, sought a dream unlike any other. He desired to see the future, a glimpse of a prophecy that threatened to shatter the fragile peace between Etheria and the neighboring kingdom of Zenith. Anya was hesitant. Foresight was a forbidden dream, its price a terrifying unknown. But Elian's resolve was as unyielding as the storm raging outside. Torn between duty and empathy, Anya agreed. As she meticulously crafted the clockwork prophecy, a chilling realization struck her. The future Elian sought wasn't just about war. It showed Anya herself at the heart of the conflict, wielding a power she never knew she possessed. Fear gripped her. Anya had always been a maker, not a warrior. Yet, the prophecy pulsed with an undeniable truth. The fate of Etheria rested on her shoulders. With a heavy heart, Anya presented Elian with the prophecy. Its gears whirred, revealing a future steeped in chaos. But within the devastation, a path emerged, a chance for peace. But only if Anya embraced her hidden power. Elian, forever changed by the glimpse of the future, offered to train Anya. Days turned into weeks, filled with rigorous physical training and arcane studies. Anya, pushed to her limits, discovered a wellspring of power within, a connection to a forgotten magic that hummed in her blood. As tensions between Etheria and Zenith escalated, Anya knew the time had come. She donned gear imbued with clockwork magic, a fusion of her craft and newfound abilities. Elian, by her side, led a small band of unlikely allies. A roguish inventor, a wise oracle, and a disillusioned Zenith soldier. Their journey took them across treacherous landscapes, facing clockwork automatons guarding ancient secrets and mythical beasts awakened by the brewing war. Through each trial, Anya honed her power, becoming a bridge between technology and magic. The climax arrived in a storm-racked citadel, the battleground prophesied by the clockwork contraption. Anya faced the warmonger king of Zenith, his ambitions fueled by dark magic. The ensuing duel was a dance of clockwork and sorcery, gears clashing against arcane bolts. In the end, it was Anya's hidden power, amplified by the dream she had built, that tipped the scales. With a surge of energy, she shattered the king's hold on the dark magic, forcing him to surrender. Peace returned, a fragile blossom nurtured by the sacrifices made. Anya, hailed as a hero, knew the true cost of her actions. The dreams she built had taken their toll, leaving her forever changed. But as she stood overlooking the city of Etheria, the scars a constant reminder. Anya knew it was a price she wouldn't hesitate to pay again. For in the twilight city of dreams, she was no longer just a clockmaker. Anya was the guardian, forever bound to the delicate balance between dreams and reality. Ilara was a tiny seed, nestled amongst countless others in a dry, cracked pod. Her world was darkness, punctuated by the occasional jostle as the wind rattled the pod. One day, a particularly strong gust ripped the pod open, scattering the seeds across the windswept plain. Ilara tumbled, landing with a soft thud on hard earth. Fear, a prickling sensation she'd never known before, filled her. She was alone, vulnerable, exposed to the harsh sun and the vast emptiness. But then a miracle. A gentle rain began to fall. It soaked into the parched ground, bringing a strange, exhilarating sensation to Ilara. She felt a stirring within, a yearning to unfurl. Over the next few days, with each drop of rain, Ilara grew. A tentative root pushed down, seeking water and anchoring her to the earth. A tiny shoot emerged, reaching towards the light. The world that unfolded before Ilara was a symphony of new experiences. The sun, once a source of fear, now warmed her leaves and helped her grow taller. She felt the caress of the wind, the playful dance of insects, and the cool touch of moonlight. As Ilara grew, challenges arose. Scorching sun beat down on her, threatening to shrivel her leaves. A sudden downpour threatened to uproot her. But with each hurdle, Ilara adapted. Her roots grew deeper, seeking moisture in the dry spells. Her leaves learned to bend with the wind, weathering the fiercest storms. One day, a small, curious creature with bright eyes and soft fur nibbled at Ilara's leaves. It was a rabbit, its hunger pangs momentarily outweighing its fear of the large plant. Ilara, through a strange connection she couldn't explain, felt a pang of loss. But then, the rabbit retreated, leaving behind a pile of droppings that nourished the earth around her roots. This cycle of giving and taking became a constant in Ilara's life. She provided shade for weary travelers, her leaves whispering stories in the wind. Birds built nests in her branches, their songs filling the air with joy. In return, the birds carried away fallen seeds, allowing Ilara to spread her life across the vast plain. Years turned into decades, Ilara growing into a magnificent tree, a beacon of life in the vastness. She witnessed the changing seasons, the birth and death of countless creatures, the relentless march of time. Through it all, Ilara learned the essence of life, resilience in the face of hardship, the interconnectedness of all living things, and the beauty found in simply existing. One day, a young seedling, no bigger than Ilara once was, sprouted beneath her shade. Ilara felt a familiar sensation, a sense of completion. She had lived a full life, weathered storms, provided shelter, and now she would give way to the next generation. As the young seedling reached for the sun, Ilara knew her lessons, her life would live on. For life, like Ilara's story, was a constant cycle of growth, change, and the quiet beauty of simply being.
Nestled amidst emerald rice paddies and guarded by a ring of coconut palms lay the village of Sundari. Life in Sundari flowed with the rhythm of the seasons, a symphony of clanging temple bells, chirping birds, and the gentle murmur of the Sundari River. Maya, a girl with eyes the color of ripe mangoes, knew every corner of this village. Her days began with the rooster's crow, the signal for a flurry of activity. Maya would help her amma, strong and weathered like an old tree, prepare breakfast, fluffy idlis and steaming sambar. The aroma would waft through the sun-dappled courtyard, rousing the rest of the family. Appa, with his calloused hands that spoke of generations working the land, and her mischievous younger brother, Ravi, who was always up for an adventure. After breakfast, Maya would walk with other village children to the small, red-bricked school. Their laughter echoed through the trees as they skipped over dusty paths, their backpacks bouncing. In the classroom, sunlight streamed through open windows, illuminating the teacher's passionate words about ancient myths and complex mathematics. Sundari life wasn't all sunshine and laughter. Come harvest time, the village pulsed with activity. Everyone, young and old, bent their backs in the paddies, their hands working the golden stalks with practiced ease. The air hummed with chatter and the rhythmic clanging of sickles. In the evenings, under the tapestry of stars, they would celebrate the harvest with a bonfire, sharing stories and songs that echoed through the night. There were festivals too, vibrant bursts of color in the slow-moving village life. During Diwali, rows of flickering diyas would line the streets, casting a warm glow on smiling faces. The rhythmic pounding of dole drums filled the air during Dussehra, as villagers enacted the epic battle of good versus evil. Sundari held its own secrets, hidden waterfalls, whispering their tales to the wind, and ancient banyan trees, their branches cradling forgotten stories. Maya and Ravi loved exploring these hidden corners, their imaginations weaving tales of mythical creatures and brave heroes. One day, a city slicker arrived in Sundari, his car kicking up dust on the normally serene path. He spoke of a better life, a life with tall buildings and never-ending lights. Maya, for the first time, felt a flicker of discontent. Was this simple, sun-drenched life all there was? But as the days turned into weeks, Maya noticed a change in the city slicker. His eyes, once sharp and calculating, softened. He began helping villagers with their chores, a hesitant smile gracing his lips as he learned the rhythm of life in Sundari. By the time he left, he wore a contented air, as if a piece of his soul had been woven into the fabric of the village. Watching him leave, Maya understood. Sundari wasn't just a place, it was a feeling, a sense of belonging, a tapestry woven from generations of stories, laughter, and resilience. It may not have been fast-paced or flashy, but it was a life that nurtured the soul. Maya, with the setting sun painting the sky in vibrant hues, knew she wouldn't trade her life in Sundari for anything.
In the bustling marketplace of Marrakesh, nestled amongst stalls overflowing with fragrant spices and shimmering silks, lived Zarina. No ordinary merchant, Zarina was a weaver of flavors, an artist who spoke the language of spices. Her stall, unlike those overflowing with colorful displays, was a modest affair. Yet, the aroma that wafted from it was enough to stop passers-by in their tracks. Zarina wasn't just selling food, she was selling stories. Each dish she created was a tapestry woven from memories and traditions. Her signature dish, Nostalgia in a Bowl, was a fragrant stew that transported you back to your childhood kitchen. The first whiff evoked images of warm hearths and the comforting presence of loved ones. One bite, and a kaleidoscope of flavors exploded on your tongue, the earthy warmth of turmeric, the gentle heat of chilies, the sweet tang of apricots, all brought together in a symphony of comfort. One scorching afternoon, a weary traveler named Amir stumbled upon Zarina's stall. The heat had sapped his energy, and the cacophony of the marketplace was overwhelming. Yet, the aroma from Zarina's stall was a siren call. He found himself drawn to the simple wooden sign above her stall, flavors that tell stories. Zarina greeted him with a warm smile, her eyes crinkling at the corners. Sensing his exhaustion, she offered him a steaming bowl of a Nostalgia in a Bowl. As Amir took a sip, his eyes widened. It wasn't just the taste, it was the feeling. He was transported back to his childhood village, nestled amidst rolling hills, the scent of his grandmother's cooking filling the air. A wave of emotions washed over him, a forgotten melody of laughter, the warmth of family, the bittersweet pang of longing. Tears welled up in his eyes. "How?" he stammered. Zarina smiled gently. "Spices have a memory, traveler. They hold stories within them, waiting to be released." From that day on, Zarina's stall became a haven for weary travelers. Each bowl of food wasn't just sustenance, it was a journey, a portal to forgotten memories and cherished moments. Word of her magic spread, drawing people from far and wide. Royalty and commoners alike sat side by side, united by the language of flavors Zarina spoke so eloquently. Zarina, the weaver of flavors, became a living legend. Her story reminded everyone that food wasn't just about satisfying hunger, it was about connection, about evoking memories, and about the power of a simple meal to bring people together, one delicious bite at a time.
Amara clutched her worn leather football, its surface creased with the memory of countless games. Here, on the dusty pitch carved out of a forgotten corner of Rio de Janeiro, she wasn't just Amara, the scrawny girl who helped her papa sell fruit. She was Amara, the leisurely lightning, the terror of the back streets. Football was her escape, her symphony. The rhythmic thump of the ball against her foot, the dusty swirl as she weaved past makeshift goals, the triumphant roar of her friends, these were the sounds of her joy. Her team, a ragtag bunch of misfits called the Catra Favela Wildcats, were her family. There was Pedro, the wiry playmaker with a mind like a chessboard, and Gabriela, the fearless defender who could steal the ball from a charging bull. They dreamt of escaping the favela, of playing on a real pitch, under real floodlights. But dreams were a luxury in their world. Reality was leaky shacks, the ever-present threat of gang violence, and a gnawing emptiness in their bellies. One day, a flyer fluttered into their makeshift pitch, carried by a lazy breeze. It advertised the Copa Rocinha, the youth tournament scouted by professional clubs. A spark ignited in Amora's eyes. This was their chance. The weeks leading up to the Copa Rocinha were a blur of relentless practice. They honed their skills under the unforgiving sun, their laughter echoing amidst the cacophony of the city. Amora, fueled by determination, practiced till her legs felt like lead and her breath came in ragged gasps. The day of the tournament arrived, bringing with it a nervous flutter in Amora's stomach. The Catra Favela faced teams from wealthier neighborhoods, their uniforms gleaming under the harsh stadium lights. But the Wildcats played with a heart that transcended their worn-out boots. Amora, with her dazzling footwork and lightning-fast dribbling, became a whirlwind on the field. Pedro threaded passes through impossible gaps, and Gabriela turned defense into attack with her fearless tackles. The crowd, initially skeptical, roared with approval as the Catra Favela defied expectations. They fought their way through the tournament, each victory a step closer to their dream. But the final match was against the Flamingos, a team known for their ruthless efficiency. The first half was a tense affair, the score locked at 0. In the second half, a stray tackle sent Gabriela sprawling, clutching her ankle. Despair threatened to engulf Amora, but then, Pedro's voice, sharp and clear, cut through the panic. "We play for each other, Amora. For Gabriela. For the Catra Favela." Fueled by a renewed determination, Amora weaved through the Flamingo defense. Her heart pounded a frantic rhythm as she faced the goalkeeper, a giant who seemed to block out the sun. With a surge of adrenaline, Amora unleashed a powerful shot. The ball rocketed past the keeper, a blur of brown leather against the bright green net. The final whistle blew. The Catra Favela, the team from the forgotten corner of Rio, had won. Tears streamed down Amora's face, a mixture of joy and disbelief. They had done it. They had escaped the shadows, not just for themselves, but for Gabriela, for their families, for the entire favela. As they lifted the trophy, the cheers of the crowd echoed through the stadium. Amora knew this was just the beginning. Their journey, fueled by passion and perseverance, had taken them from the dusty streets to the bright lights. The future, once uncertain, now shimmered with the promise of green pitches, roaring crowds, and the beautiful game.
Dr. Liam McConnell wasn't your typical hero. He didn't wear a cape or have superhuman strength. Liam was a veterinarian in a small, remote Irish village, a man with kind eyes and hands that soothed even the most anxious creatures. His days were filled with the meows of fractious kittens, the barks of boisterous pups, and the occasional grumpy bleat of a lost sheep. But Liam's goodness wasn't confined to his clinic. He was the glue that held the village together. When Mrs. McCarthy's roof sprung a leak during a storm, Liam, with his knack for fixing anything, was there on a ladder, rain dripping down his face, hammering on new shingles. When young Sean's beloved dog, Finn, got lost on the moors, Liam, boots laced and raincoat flapping, spent hours searching, his whistle cutting through the wind until Finn's joyful bark echoed back. His generosity knew no bounds. He offered free checkups to struggling farmers and discounted care for families facing hard times. He even opened his clinic doors after hours for emergencies, no matter how inconvenient. One blustery winter night, a frantic knock shattered the quiet. A young woman, bundled in a thin coat, burst in, clutching a shivering puppy wrapped in a threadbare scarf. The puppy, no bigger than a teacup, had been found abandoned on the pier, its fur matted and eyes dull. Liam, without a question, ushered them both into a warm room. He gently examined the pup, his brow furrowed with concern. It was weak, malnourished, and barely clinging to life. Liam, fueled by a quiet determination,
worked through the night, coaxing the little creature back from the brink. By morning, the puppy, now cleaned and fed, wagged its tail weakly. The young woman, tears glistening in her eyes, named him Finn. Liam, refusing any payment, simply smiled and said, "His one tough little pup." Just like this village, Liam's goodness wasn't about grand gestures. It was woven into the fabric of his everyday life. He saw the beauty in the small things, the trust in an animal's eyes, the relief on a worried owner's face, the quiet hum of a village life he helped sustain. In a world that often craved the extraordinary, Liam, the good veterinarian, was a quiet testament to the extraordinary power of ordinary good deeds. In the bustling heart of a colossal oak tree, nestled amongst vibrant green leaves, lived a tiny caterpillar named Pip. Pip's world was a symphony of rustling leaves, glistening dewdrops, and the endless buffet of leaves surrounding him. He spent his days munching contentedly, oblivious to the vastness of the forest beyond his leafy haven. One crisp autumn morning, Pip awoke to a world transformed. The vibrant leaves had morphed into a tapestry of gold and red, and a chill hung in the air. An elder caterpillar, wise with the weight of many seasons, announced, "It's time, young ones. Time to spin our cocoons." Pip, filled with a strange mix of excitement and fear, followed the others. He meticulously wove a silken cocoon around himself, a safe haven for the unknown transformation ahead. Inside the darkness, Pip felt a strange tingling sensation. His body ached, then dissolved into a soupy mush. Panic surged, but then, a strange peace settled over him. Days turned into weeks, the silence broken only by the rustle of leaves in the wind. Pip felt a shift within, a hardening. When he finally emerged, he wasn't a caterpillar anymore. He was a magnificent butterfly, his wings a kaleidoscope of colors that shimmered in the sunlight. The world looked different from above. The familiar oak was just a single tree amongst a vast expanse of green. Pip, with a tentative flutter, took flight. He soared above the forest canopy, the wind whispering secrets in his wings. Below, he saw creatures he'd never noticed before, scurrying ants, playful squirrels, and majestic deer. His journey wasn't without challenges. Rain lashed down, threatening to tear his delicate wings. Predators, drawn to his vibrant colors, stalked him from the shadows. But Pip learned to navigate the wind currents, seeking shelter from downpours and evading hungry predators. He discovered a world beyond the forest, meadows bursting with wildflowers, shimmering lakes reflecting the sky, and mountains that scraped the clouds. He met other butterflies, each with their own stories and migration patterns. Pip learned about the interconnectedness of life, the delicate balance between predator and prey, the cycle of growth, decay, and rebirth. As the seasons turned, a familiar yearning tugged at Pip's heart. He longed for the warmth of the oak tree, the comfort of his home. With a bittersweet pang, he joined the southward migration, a silent promise to return one day. Back in his familiar forest, Pip, now a seasoned traveler, shared his stories with the younger caterpillars. He spoke of challenges overcome, of breathtaking beauty, and of the vastness of the world beyond their leafy haven. Pip continued his life cycle, spinning cocoons, taking flight, returning home. Each journey brought new experiences, new lessons. Life, he realized, wasn't just about existing on a single leaf. It was about the transformation, the challenges faced, the beauty discovered, and the stories shared. It was about the constant dance between comfort and exploration, the cycle of endings and beginnings, a testament to the enduring wonder of being alive.
Neon lights bled into the twilight sky, painting the concrete rink in a kaleidoscope of colors. In this vibrant world on wheels lived Maya, a girl with a wild mane of crimson hair and a spirit as fierce as a comet's tail. Roller derby wasn't just a sport for Maya. It was a symphony of controlled chaos, a ballet of grit and grace on 8 wheels. Tonight was the night of the Queens of Mayhem Derby, the annual showdown between the local rivals, the Meteor Blades and their arch-nemesis, the Diamond Devils. Maya, the captain of the Meteor Blades, tightened her laces, the familiar burn of nervous excitement tingling in her stomach. Across the rink, her rival, the ice-blonde captain of the Diamonds, Vivian, smirked, a predator sizing up her prey. The whistle blew, and the rink exploded into a cacophony of shouts, cheers, and the rhythmic rumble of skates. Maya weaved through the pack, a blur of crimson and black. Her teammates, a motley crew of misfits united by their love for the sport, followed close behind. There was Luna, the silent strategist, her every move calculated, and Rosie, the powerhouse jammer, a battering ram on wheels. The game was a fierce whirlwind. Maya juked and dodged, the wheels of her skates singing a high-pitched song against the smooth concrete. She battled through a wall of diamond defenders, her elbows brushing against Vivian, who retaliated with a sneaky hip check. Maya, anticipating the move, countered with a lightning-fast spin, leaving Vivian sprawling on the floor. The crowd roared, their cheers a tangible force pushing the meteor blades forward. Points were scored, penalties were called, and the tension crackled in the air. With 1 minute left on the clock, the score was tied. It all came down to this final jam. Maya, designated jammer for the final bout, took a deep breath. This was it. The whistle blew, and Maya shot off like a rocket. She danced through the pack, dodging outstretched arms and weaving through the chaos like a thread through a needle. Vivian, fueled by a desire for revenge, clung to Maya's heels, a relentless shadow. With seconds left on the clock, Maya saw a gap. It was risky, a near impossible maneuver, but fueled by adrenaline and a fierce loyalty to her team, she lunged forward. Leaning into the curve, her skates screamed in protest, sparks flying as she grazed the edge of the rink. But she held on, crossing the finish line just a hair's breadth ahead of Vivian. The final whistle blew. The meteor blades erupted in cheers, a wave of ecstatic screams washing over the rink. Maya, legs trembling with exertion, a wide grin splitting her face, looked across at Vivian, the diamond captain, her face a mask of frustration, grudgingly offered a nod of respect. Tonight, the meteor blades were the queens. But Maya knew one thing for certain. The battle on wheels would continue, a testament to the fierce spirit that resided not just in her, but in every skater who dared to take to the rink and paint their story on 8 wheels. As the neon lights shimmered and the crowd dispersed, Maya knew this was just the beginning. The melody of skates on concrete was a song she would never tire of hearing.
Dr. Liam O'Connell wasn't your typical hero. He didn't wear a cape or have superhuman strength. Liam was a veterinarian in a small, remote Irish village, a man with kind eyes and hands that soothed even the most anxious creatures. His days were filled with the meows of fractious kittens, the barks of boisterous pups, and the occasional grumpy bleat of a lost sheep. But Liam's goodness wasn't confined to his clinic. He was the glue that held the village together. When Mrs. McCarthy's roof sprung a leak during a storm, Liam, with his knack for fixing anything, was there on a ladder, rain dripping down his face, hammering on new shingles. When young Sean's beloved dog, Finn, got lost on the moors, Liam, boots laced and raincoat flapping, spent hours searching, his whistle cutting through the wind until Finn's joyful bark echoed back. His generosity knew no bounds. He offered free checkups to struggling farmers and discounted care for families facing hard times. He even opened his clinic doors after hours for emergencies, no matter how inconvenient. One blustery winter night, a frantic knock shattered the quiet. A young woman, bundled in a thin coat, burst in, clutching a shivering puppy wrapped in a threadbare scarf. The puppy, no bigger than a teacup, had been found abandoned on the pier, its fur matted and eyes dull. Liam, without a question, ushered them both into a warm room. He gently examined the pup, his brow furrowed with concern. It was weak, malnourished, and barely clinging to life. Liam, fueled by a quiet determination, worked through the night, coaxing the little creature back from the brink. By morning, the puppy, now cleaned and fed, wagged its tail weakly. The young woman, tears glistening in her eyes, named him Finn. Liam, refusing any payment, simply smiled and said, "He's one tough little pup." Just like this village. Liam's goodness wasn't about grand gestures. It was woven into the fabric of his everyday life. He saw the beauty in the small things, the trust in an animal's eyes, the relief on a worried owner's face, the quiet hum of a village life he helped sustain. In a world that often craved the extraordinary, Liam, the good veterinarian, was a quiet testament to the extraordinary power of ordinary good deeds.